just all of them, like a lot, and like even around the time, like when I was going, nobody else was at those court days. Nobody else was in there. And up until, why is everybody fucking with me? I was not the crazy. I was the loyal one. All right, I was down for him. I thought that he was innocent. I went in there and I heard every fucking gruesome detail that he did, and I turned around and I walked away. So how is that so bad that she feels the need to talk shit and put me out there like that? But she went and talked to him for a few days. Didn't even know the guy, but that's okay. That's okay to knowingly, after he's convicted, to go to, or even after, like, whatever. But are you? I can't. And nobody else was sitting there during all of that. Nobody else. It was me and Mel. Everybody else was like a lawyer or a student or some kind of like. And if there were support, some people that were there, like they weren't anything like that were involving him that even knew him. Like there was a couple people there just being there for support that didn't personally know him, that just wanted to be on that side for him because he didn't have anyone. So like that's the only people that were in there besides news crews and all the victims' families. So nobody has any right to say a damn thing. None of you know. Nobody knows. Me and Mama, we know. And that's why we do this the right way. And she's sitting there and she's gonna verify everything, and I'm gonna verify everything because we were physically there. Seen every single part from the moment that he came in that damn courtroom, from the moment he said he was guilty. I was there for every second of it. Between the lawyers, between talking to Diane's son, between everything. The only one that showed me kindness, like I've said, was Brandon. Only person out of both sides of the families. After me being there and I already made my decision. It was already been like day 3, I believe it was. I think they were finally, get next, start it. What are you doing? You go. Then you lay down. It's not, what do you think this is, son? Sorry, the dog's fucking with my pillow.
I guess, Mike, what is like, who even is she? She's just somebody that just hit him up recently, randomly on the kiosk, and that's it.
That makes it even fucking worse, dog. Like, that makes it even worse. Like, you're literally, like, making this so much easier to show that you're ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Anybody that has not ever, like, a couple phone conversations on there, or a couple Gmail conversations or photos, whatever. But like, I'm talking like every day, consistent, all the time. Like I was always there. Nobody else was around until he became this big thing on TikTok. So it's just crazy to me how they have turned this into something so big, and yet now everybody's flipping around and hating the people that he did things to. Like, are you kidding? And then everybody thinks this is a joke. Like, every single woman, even though they're dumb or you don't like them or they have this past or that past or they lie, it doesn't fucking matter. We all thought that we were in a relationship with somebody. We all thought that we were the only person. It doesn't matter what your opinions are or anybody else's. We sat there and thought that we were a part of something that emotionally and spiritually fucks you up. Like, can you imagine being down for somebody and them doing something? God forbid it wasn't murder, whatever, but you're down for them tenfold and you find out they're guilty. Can you imagine walking in with the utmost confidence that your man is going to fucking leave with you or in a couple of months or years or whatever, but he was innocent and you had his back, and then you had to sit there for every single piece of evidence to show that everything he's ever said to you was a lie? Do you know how that feels? Is that funny to everybody? Like, is that a joke? Like, is that funny that I had to sit there and have my entire fucking world like demolished while everybody else was falling around them in this trial because I literally sat there like an idiot thinking that he was telling the truth? And I had to learn for myself. And then I get talked shit about and videos made and this and that, but you don't understand what I sat through. You don't even get it. You don't even understand. You can't even fathom.
That's what I keep trying to tell people.
Nobody knows anything. Nobody does. It'll come out, and I can't wait for it. I'm so excited for the day that we get to do this with Coral, because let me tell you, there's no way that this should still go on after what is going to be said is being said. I'm not even going to kid you. Like, there's no way. If anybody has any type of morality or soul or heart after hearing what me and Mel have to say, and you're still going to support, then at that point, you need something bigger than you need help, because it's horrible. And it's not just, oh, this person said this or this person, like, oh, they're like, there's no reason to. And if anybody can say anything about anything with him is me. I was like, when I tell you so tenfold down for him walking in there, like, I was ready to risk everything because I thought that everything that I thought he was telling the truth, and he wasn't. And for months I was told you know, they don't have anything. It's just a confession. And it makes sense because, okay, why would they keep you there and not convict you if they didn't have it? He did all of this and planned all of it for a reason. He's very fucking smart. Y'all think he's dumb because he's a freaking player, but he's actually very smart. He's been playing everybody from the fucking jump, and it's in his control. He's been playing y'all like Muppets, and it's going to be what Wade wants, when Wade wants, how he wants it. You're not even going to fucking know. And you're not even going to know if it's real. You're not even going to know if it's true because he's going to make you feel so convinced of whatever the hell he decides to feed you that you're going to almost believe it. And that's what has happened already. It's just how he is. It's just how it is. So, I mean.
Yeah, and you said he'll just continue on. He'll just run this charade as long as he can get away with it.
He'll do this as long as he can because he knows that he needs ramen noodles for the next 18 years. I'm telling, like, that's all he does. He just wants to be comfortable. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. Because I'm telling you, somebody.
I don't think he even cares about getting free.
Does not sit there.
I don't either.
Given somebody who is truly innocent, if you're sitting there, your defense isn't doing anything, which they didn't have anything to fucking defend, but that's not something everybody's ready to talk about. If you had the opportunity in front of everybody, including the judge, like if you had the opportunity to open your damn mouth and tell everything or anything that could help or save or get people's minds going that you're telling the truth, not one thing was done. Not one facial expression, not one emotion, nothing.
And I was saying too, Allie, that like, I was trying to tell people like there's so much more that we didn't see. That,
right. And y'all know. And we're going to get into detail, but, you know, out of respect for families and to where, you know, it's appropriate and nobody gets upset or anything, then it'll be said. But that's the whole reason I haven't, because you don't even understand. I can't begin to, when I tell you, you guys are not even ready. You're not even ready for what we've seen in her. You're not ready. And you don't know it because there's no way for you to know it. Like, you're just not going to. And you're not, it's just how it is.
No, it wasn't heard. It was only the people that were there that heard it.
And they all think that he had such a short, like, it wasn't short. It was hours and hours, like days. But it just, I mean, short, yeah, it was a little bit short. But I mean, if you guys really look up, like, his lawyers, they're good lawyers. They have a history of they're good. They're part of a fucking amazing law firm. Like, they're good lawyers. They're not, I mean, you don't understand what he did to these lawyers. You don't understand what he put them through. You don't understand how much up and down and ghost chase and stories and everything else that he's done for them to figure out what's true and what's not. So,
well, your story will be heard.
I don't really even care about mine. I want the truth out. I want them to stop freaking glorifying and saying that he had a mistrial and he's innocent. I want the truth out, and the victims, they deserve that. At least that. For the truth to be known. So when people sit there and make a conscious judgment on if they're going to support this man or not, they have all the fucking necessary details that they need. And at that point, if you decide to move further and support somebody, and it would be different if he'd come out and be like, you know what, I was on drugs, I didn't know what I was doing, I'm sorry. It would be a completely different. He didn't. He won't. He never will. None of it's going to ever happen. He's playing it how he wants, and so he can come up with the perfect fucking story. So that way it scrambles everybody's brains, and all the conspiracy theorists are going to start looking into it, and because he knows how to do that. He's very, very good at it. All right? Very, very good at it. So it's just, it's always going to be. And he's going to.
And you said the evidence was stacked.
I'm sorry.
I mean, the evidence that we saw was stacked. So I can't imagine what we didn't see. There's so much evidence that we didn't see that is going to come out eventually.
Even put a fraction of the shit they got on him in there. They didn't need to. They had enough, and everything else they have is for the next round, and it's gonna be even more. Like it's even worse. Like, what do you think? What do you get out of that? You think because in 10, 15 years it's gonna be another? Like, that makes no sense to me. It's all just to keep time. That's all it is. It's all a ruse, if you want me to be perfectly honest, and it's shitty. I'm
right, and they're going to take these calls that he's had, and they're going to add that to the appeal. You know, when the appeal finally does happen, they're going to add all of these phone calls that have come out and add that and stack more against him. Oh, your sound went out, Allie.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never seen Jessie. Like, everybody kept saying she was there, and I'm like, no, she was there for the sentencing, not for the trial. There was not
And
anybody
you
that's
weren't at the
supposed.
sentencing.
No, hell no. I knew as soon as I heard the word
Right.
guilty, that's all I needed. There was no reason to ever go back. I don't even want to be in the same room. Like it was already hard to come back and listen to the rest of the crap after already just I could. It was horrible. It was just it was. You'll have to just wait and see because it's just it's enough that like I don't understand how people can be so naive and horrible to people like when they're like I was there, so technically like I'm a witness to what had happened in this trial during, right, and I'm like me and Mel are the only two that are going to actually openly speak about it and try to explain, and we get the most bullcrap. Like I've literally had so much hate because of this app, and once everybody found out or just whoever did it and has caused all these problems for me, like it goes way deeper than just losing my job. Like there's so much that has been done that I just haven't talked about because I did not want, I didn't want to start things because I'm just over it all. Like I just want to go back. I just want to live my life. I want everything to get better, and I just want to get this over with. I want to get the truth out so that way maybe every time I open this app, there's not going to be something about him. And it's not even just for me, for every person that was ever involved with him, for every girl that had messaged him, for every girl that had conversations with him that thought they were special, for anybody that has been hurt. And another thing that gets me is everybody just says, we're stupid kiosk girls, but like, if he would have done any other crime or if it would have been any other person, nobody would have been making a big deal about this like this. There's no way. And it's crazy because we're stupid and we're this, but a lot of the people that have said that also reached out and thought they had relationships with him themselves and then realized really quickly, like, you know what I mean? So like, how dare you pass judgment on me when all I did was think that the person that I cared wholeheartedly about was telling me the truth. And instead of looking at the damage,
Right,
and people just, you're like, oh my God, you brought him suits. You're the one that yeah, I did. I bought him a suit. So what? So did the other girl, but I'm not saying her name because she's asked me nicely not to, and not, she doesn't want to be exposed about it. And if somebody asked me for that, I'm not going to do that. But like, those suits weren't donated. Like, he's a liar. He's a fucking liar. And I can't. I've spent so much time, energy, money on bullshit, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like I've said before, this is our lives, and people might not like us, might like me, or might not like any of the other girls. But at the end of the day, we're human, and we're just girls that thought that somebody was into them and they weren't, and we got played like fiddles, regardless if you think it's stupid or not. Because if you put yourself in the position where no matter what the crime was or who it was, and you started emotionally falling for somebody because who they actually are when they're, like it's just like, it's funny that people are so judgmental, but yet if they were ever given the opportunity or were ever talking to him and you don't know, like it's just like, you could see why people get roped in so quickly. The manipulation, the narcissism, like he's a textbook sociopath. Like it's just what it is. But I think that's what bothers me too the most is like when people sit there, we're just dumb kiosk this and kiosk that, but every single one of us kiosk girls fucking thought that we were special to somebody. And it might not seem like anything to you, but if y'all ever had somebody that, used you or left you or dumped you or just freaking did wrong to you and your heart and your chest hurts and you feel like you're going to puke and it's in your stomach, yeah, that's what the fuck it feels like. It's the same because whether he was a murderer or not, it still freaking feels the same. Like, it does. It's still the same shitty feeling. And no matter, and the fact that I have to sit here and hear calls that I was nothing and that I'm this and I'm that, but yet my letters, over 1,000 of them were addressed to Alexis Wilson, Mrs. Alexis Wilson, talking about having my friend, I had his ID, talking about having my friend like impersonate him in Alabama because we had a notary. Like I was going to go down the weekend before Thanksgiving last year and do it. And something I just didn't. Like my friend was ready to do it. We were going to have him impersonate him, like, and, say he was Wade and legally on documents, get married. And that's what we were going to do. So like for anybody to sit there and tell me that I'm just some dumb kiosk girl and that I was not, like, y'all don't know anything about me or what I had been through emotionally with him. And it sucks because if you can only imagine being with somebody and then having to go sit through and not only hear what he did, but see what he had done. And like nobody even understands what I had to sit and watch and then still come back every day knowing what I know and had to still sit and watch and get treated like crap by not only all the other lawyer students, you know, Christine's family. The only nice one out of all of them with the victims, which rightfully so, was Diane's son, Brandon. He was the only one that showed me kindness. And he's like, you didn't do this. You just wanted to hear the truth. Like, he understood. So he wasn't nasty to me. Everybody else was. Even after me apologizing for what they were going through, they were still nasty, which I get. I'm not saying they were wrong. I get it like 110% why, but like, it still sucks, you know. I'm sitting there and all I wanted to do was hear the truth, and I get, you know, shit talked and faces, and like, it was horrible. I got treated very, very horrible. I'm not saying that I wanted to be treated right. I get it, where everybody's minds were. But maybe if you understood where my mindset was, you would understand why. Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine the husbands or men that you're with right now? Can you imagine being with them and then them going to jail and them telling, no, babe, like, I didn't do it, I'm innocent. And you're believing them because you know everything that's been going on. You know the people, you know what other people don't know. So you believe them. You believe them, right? Just like Ted Bundy, right? And you're going 10 toes down, and then right at the end, he either tells you he did it or you find out. Like, wouldn't you just be crushed? Wouldn't you be crushed if your person was living triple, double, quadruple fucking lives while you think that you're the only one, but yet he's out here doing that? And I knew about a few of them because I couldn't give him money. So I understood what he was doing with a few. Like, I knew about a couple of them, but not any of these new ones. It wasn't anybody that's like around now. It was totally different. But anyway, it was just, sorry.
And I mean, you said that you knew him before too, which is what I tell people.
Yeah,
also.
not like crazy, but yes.
But yeah, you did know him before. And that's also, you know, what I say when I talk about Courtney too. Like I say, you know, you have to also keep in mind that like they did know him in some way. And, you know, maybe that made it a little harder to believe.
Happened. I was at Buddha watching I was there to see A200 play. I used to go every weekend. And he had come up behind me and put my beanie off, and he was like joking with me. He's like, oh, hey, you, because I've seen him around mutual friends. Like, you know, they were doing business. People were doing this, doing that, whatever. You know, like I'd see him, talk to him a few times, but it wasn't like whatever. Well, he had said, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then he went in the bathroom with that guy, Jason. And when he came out, he was like, oh no, man, I don't know. I gotta go. I'll be back. And he just like his eyes were all black and he just looked creepy. Like, he looked weird. It didn't look like the same person. I don't know if that's hard to explain, but it didn't. His eyes were like, it was weird. And next thing you know, he was gone. And a couple days later, he's on the fucking news. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? And then, like, of course, I was like dumbfounded. I hadn't reached out to him or anything. And then when I did finally reach out to him, it was a mutual friend. I think it was in 2022, the first time. And I had reached out to him like, yo, Jesse needs to get in touch with you, you know, give me a call. And then when he realized who I was and we had the conversation of like, I'm like, do you remember me? And he's like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember you from that night. And then he kept saying like, oh, I should have like went with you. And I was like making a joke like, haha, yeah, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Like, you know, because I didn't know, you know, like I thought, you know, like, but also the shit that he was on, I don't know, man. It was weird. Like, he had half a cigarette in one ear, like half a smoked cigarette in one ear. And then he had, I don't know if it was like a BLUNT or whatever in the other, but I don't know. The person that went in there and the person that came out are not the same. That's all I have to say. And it was weird, but it was definitely weird. But when me and him got back in contact, when the whole fiance thing was a thing, though, but like I understand that there was a lot of ones after, but I'm not exactly sure like on the timeline with them. But I mean, I never saw any other girls at any other court dates, like ever. Like, I went to a lot of them, and I've never. I mean, it's all on TV. Like, true crime has been in every court date. Like, the media's been in there. They've seen me at every single one. So, like, where was everybody else? Like, if I was such a freaking like that's the one thing too. I don't like to be like downplayed like I'm nothing when clearly I was. It's not bothering me because, oh my God, I want Wade to claim me. No, that's not the fucking case. It's the fact that I know the value of myself, and if you're going to sit there just because you want other people to do what you want, and you're going to claim that I'm nothing, and then now everybody on social media thinks that I was nothing to you and that I just want this or I just want that, and it's like, it's not even the fucking case. Like, I don't care. like at all. It's the fact that people do that part of it, and they still think that like I'm obsessive with Wade, like just how they put it with that video. Like I it's crazy. It's insane to me. Is what it is. But
Yeah.
you know, people don't care. Nobody's
Well,
ready for
I will say that when I spoke to Sparrow and she spoke to you, she said that because when I spoke to her before she spoke to you, she was still on the fence on whether or not he did actually unalive Diane. And she said after she spoke to you, you cleared it all up for her.
Yes,
That
and
she
it'll be all shared in
believed it.
the world exactly, because there's things that you guys just don't. There's things, and let me. There's no way that a man gets this extensive of a fucking penalty for nothing, dog. Like, come on. There's so many people that commit murder every day that are just doing life, that have even done some other things like horrible and like gang type stuff and haven't even gotten the death penalty. There's obviously there's obviously a reason. Like, they don't just hand those out like fucking trick or treating, bro. They don't. Not here. Like, they don't do that. It's like, okay, here, you know, you just decide your murder is worse and we're gonna stick you. No, it's not how it fucking works. That judge has been with this man for 4 years, dog. Thompson has seen me at so many different court dates. He's been the judge the whole. He would know. He would know. He's been there the whole time through everything. He's witnessed all this emotion every single time for everything. He's heard everything, seen everything. Do you really think that man with the most important job ever is going to sentence a man to death that didn't deserve? And there's more than just a false confession, like so much more. It's not even fucking funny. And it's not stuff that you can plant on anybody. Let me just put it to you that way. You cannot plant what the hell they shared. There's no way that these people that he saw, there's no way that they planned it. Strategic, there's no way. And when people say, oh, you know, he got here, you're not here. You're not from here. You don't know. You can literally get into North Fort Myers to Cape Coral to Fort Myers all within 15, 20 minutes of each other, like without traffic, sometimes sooner if you're a heavy pedal like me. So like, you know what I mean? Like people are coming up with all these conspiracies and they know nothing. You're going off of what you see in a little clip here and a little clip there and like this and that. And you're not even putting into consideration that these people that were on the witness stand were literally, it's been years. Not only have they been trying to heal and get through what they've been through with all the bull crap that has come their way with every single one of them that's dealing with it, but you're putting them on national television. You're putting them in front of a whole group of strangers that this was supposed to be something like personal. And now all of these, you know, this family is having their personal stuff exposed to strangers in this courtroom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's crazy to me. It's still absolutely crazy to me. But then again, some people don't know what we know. And that's why we're going to get it out, because I'm done with it. It needs to stop, and it needs to. And when we tell everybody, if they still support, then they're 5150, bro, and they need to go get checked the fuck out, because there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, I think they still will. I mean, look how much they know now, and they're still supporting it.
Tiffany, I don't go on talking about Wade. I go on my own shit. People bring it up. I choose to answer because I get flooded with things. I don't go on making posts about him, because if you go look on my thing, this is the second video that I made with his name in it. Second one. If I was looking for clout, or if I was looking for, don't you think I would have been playing this whole Fiancé thing, or playing this whole, do you really think that, like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to live my life and everybody fucks with me. So yeah, do I talk about him when it gets brought up, or if I'm forced to, or whatever? Yeah. Do I go out of my way to ruin my day with it? No, I don't. So Tiffany, thank you. Just for your information.
I muted her. Don't worry about it. I muted her.
Can I just say just 3 things?
Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to keep.
No, like, it's not my video. I just wanted to say, one, I know that there was like a documented where Wade called you his fiance with the court. So that is, we all knew that he called you that. 2, let me see if I'm going to forget my thing. Oh, when Jumpsuit Pablo was in that chat with all the supporters, and then they asked, well, what did you think of the interrogation video? No one even saw it. So his supporters haven't even seen the interrogation video. Yeah, so they are not real supporters.
No, they're not.
And the third thing I was going to say is almost everything I see about you in any of these chats is positive, Ollie. It's just a couple of, it seems like the majority of people are on your side.
Right. I don't really care for sides, but I just hope that.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, support you, I should say.
I
But
appreciate it. You don't even understand, because I just feel like it's like everybody just, kick, like when you're down and they just keep kicking. And I know there's like people that support, and I'm very, very grateful. Very, very grateful, because it has been
so many.
very lonely, because like physically, like all of you are not here. Y'all are everywhere else. So it's like, that's another reason why I get on my live. Like I get on live and do makeup with my friends that are all over the damn country that I can't see physically. Like that's just how I am. And if my life makes somebody else's day feel better, then that's awesome. That's one less person that I have to worry about doing something stupid and not be here anymore. Like people are going to this extent for somebody they don't know. And I get it. A lot of them started this whole thing because they're not pro death penalty. I understand. I get it. I believe that somebody should sit there every day and wallow in the shit that they do. I agree with that. I don't believe that death penalty should be given, but there's certain circumstances, there's certain things that people do to qualify for that. And what he had done, because y'all don't know details, but what he had done puts him in a different category that it should have never not have been on the table, if you want me to be frank with you. Mm-hmm. Serious. And the only people who voted opposite for that were people who didn't believe in the death penalty, which is their right. But let me tell you, like, there's no way. And if you knew Judge Thompson, he's a very understanding judge. Like, dude, the fact that he is so like, you don't understand. There's so many different court dates where he let him talk. Like he was genuinely like how he was feeling. What do you want? Like, what are you thinking about? Like he was genuinely, like, so for him to sit there and give him this, who's been there with him the entire time, this is like, I don't understand.
He really did seem like a fair judge.
He's a very fair judge.
And you're not the only person who said that. There was another woman who also said that she's dealt with him. And she said he was really like, he's somebody who actually helped her.
Dude, with all of the motions and bullshit that he caused that court, you don't understand. I'm talking like every other
drama.
Just to get
the Nelson hearings.
All of them. There were so many court dates that were just like, boom, boom, just to get him in there. And it's like, he was patient. He was nice. He was understanding. He gave him that right because that was his right. Like, he was a very good judge. Just like those lawyers. We were good lawyers. But if you have nothing to defend and the judge is sitting here and he's watching you, bro, he is watching every mannerism on your face. He's watching how you're moving. He's watching how you're breathing. He's watching you every second of this damn thing. He's watching you. And you show no emotion. What makes you think anywhere in his soul that he's going to believe that you're innocent, let alone that you're sorry? No. There's no way. He watched you the whole time. And I don't even want to talk about how excited he had gotten when he had seen photos, bro. And nobody wants to talk about that. Stood up twice with one. Me and Mel both seen it after seeing photos. So it's disgusting. And he's nasty. And he was reliving all of it in his head while they were showing these. I know he was because he was hard, bro. Hard. Like, stood up and it was so noticeable that everybody knew. Everybody in the courtroom. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you. You can even ask. You can ask Matt. It's disgusting. And what's messed up is one of the thirst traps that one of these just posted about it shows it. Shows the exact time. Oh my God. Shows it, and they were just posting.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. They're sick. They're just as sick as him.
After the first one, after Christine's one, when they went on a break, he woke up and turned, or stood up and turned. And his pants were tight, don't get me wrong, but not that tight to where it was a whole thing. And nobody wants to talk about that. He's so great, he's so innocent, but yet he was reliving exactly what he had done. And then people are like, oh, it must have been the first time he's seen it. Look at it, he looked like he didn't recognize it. Either number one, he was choosing to show you that, so that way you couldn't tell what he was thinking, or number two, he was so screwed up on everything that he was on and still in psychosis, he might not even remember. So it could be one or two, but when these details are being poured out and these photos are being shown of what he had done to her, especially around, like, I can't. It's just, it was horrible. And I couldn't. I almost threw up after the first one. I got sick to myself. Mila had walked in on me in the bathroom bawling my fucking eyes out because I could not even breathe. after they showed the second round of photos of Christine. Let me just put it that way.
Did you know who
I
each
thought
other
you guys
was?
didn't see that.
I know which ones were. Oh, who, Mila?
Like at that time, did you know who?
I mean, I knew who she was. I don't really think like it was, I look a lot different than I had back then too. So, I don't think she might have been, I mean, I've seen her in passing, but not like that. I knew like Eric and all of that. Like I knew everybody else type stuff. I knew her and what was going on and things and, about her, but I was never, I wasn't close with her to the point where, she would have probably remembered. Poor thing was so shaken up. She could barely keep herself together going in there. Nobody could. But I remember walking out and I got sick to my stomach and I just couldn't, they took the photo off the damn screen and I was just like, I got sick. I was crying and I went to the bathroom and that's when she had walked in. And that's when I went up and apologized to some of the family. And, I was just like, I'm so sorry that you're having to like sit here and relive this again. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is horrible. I'm so sorry. Like, I just needed to hear the truth. And they were just like, thanks. And, like shut me off. But it was rough. You'll see. We're going to go into detail and explain everything. So that way nobody can say anything was skipped. Yeah. So I
didn't think they showed photos to the, like to the, I thought that was just for the jurors.
No, it was on. They put it in evidence. It was blasted on the screen. We all seen it.
So their family had to see that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They all had to sit there and watch all the evidence and everything that he did to her by fucking detail, bro. Like gruesome details. And they had to sit here and her best friend, all these people had to watch it. Like we had to watch it, and they're not gonna. You're not gonna ever see them because you guys aren't gonna be able to. Like you can't, obviously. But you'll never. No, you would never understand. It's worse than any of call. You could not even imagine what you can't. I can't put it into words. Let me just explain that. It's gonna be really rough to kind of talk about, but it needs to be said. It needs to be done. I'm gonna literally walk through the whole damn trial piece by piece and explain everything. So is Mel. Because it needs to be done.
Yeah, you got to get that out there once and for all. Just once and then never speak on it again.
Exactly. And we're going to do it the right way.
Do you know when it will be yet? And we can share it so that it can...
I'm not exactly sure. You're going to have to get with Coral on that. She's the one that's going to be, getting everything together. So she might know maybe closer to when I just go here, But I really... I think we're gonna do it on YouTube because obviously lives get just, way blown out.
Yeah, you can't do it on a live. Yeah.
No, I don't want to.
And all those stories and everything that he said and the trafficking and the this and the that, you don't believe any of that, right?
Well, there's so much that you guys don't know. There's a lot. A lot of the stuff he said was exaggerated. I'm going to say that, but there was some truth to things. I'm not saying what things, I'm not saying which. There was a lot of truth. A lot of it was exaggerated. There was things added in, you know what I'm saying? Obviously. But there is a lot that you don't know that was going on. Just know that there are truths to some of it. Not all of it. Like I said, a lot of it was exaggerated. It wasn't no big organization that had multiple, that's not what it was at all.
Right.
Like I said, I will go.
I do think there's corruption. I've said that. I think there's corruption. I mean, every place has corruption.
It's not like how he's putting it out to
the way he made it.
All of that he is doing, he's stirring it around to give people who are doing, and they're doing exactly what he wants them to do. He's putting out bits and pieces of this and of that, trying to think. And then there's this one thing is that this one girl, what's her name? The one that put a story out there that was supposedly his best friend and then turned on him, right? Who's that one? What was that girl's name again? I can't keep up. Was it Courtney?
Is it Courtney, the girl that dated him?
I don't know. The one that that was like his best friend and was telling his story for a while there until something happened to Jesse. I don't know who it was, but whoever was, I don't know who it was.
I mean, the only girl that really spoke on his side was Courtney, and she had dated him for a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been Courtney, but I don't. What I was meaning is God, how do I
Courtney was in the chat. So.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, she was.
Rephrase how you asked me. I just had ADHD brain, and I was looking up at my screen.
That's okay.
And squirreled.
Well, I was just, the last thing I said was that I'm sure, the last thing I said was that I'm sure that there is some sort of corruption, but
yeah.
I agree. I think he just took bits and pieces of things that he heard.
No, there is
and,
corrupt. There is things, and there's not that he heard. There's things that are true. There's bits and pieces that are, and I know that they are true.
Right.
I know. And we'll go more into that, like I said, once we hit that thing with Coral, because it's way more than what you're going to even be able to grasp at the moment. And I'm not going to say anything that's going to make people start going and wondering and thinking, because it's not.
Yeah, sure.
It's not. It is what it is, but it is what it isn't. If that makes any sense, I don't know how to explain it. There's when we break it down, you'll understand. When it's broken down, you'll understand, because there's a thing with Wade is that, like, he'll tell you the truth right in front of your face just because he thinks you won't believe him, and he'll tell you the whole time. But then again, he'll also lie to you and start seeing how he can manipulate, and he's going to flip and turn it, and then he believes it. He literally believes some of the shit that he comes up with. It's crazy.
He gets into character.
So he
believes his own lies.
Exactly. So that's why some of the stuff is not credible, because he is so full of himself and full of crap, so it's kind of hard to really pinpoint, but there are some things that we are
tell stories
that is going to definitely be way more understanding for everybody, and that's it's included in it too, all of it. Like when I tell you it's going to break down from the time that we all walked in to the time that he was found guilty, it's going to be broken down piece by damn piece. Anything that anybody can come up and be like, oh, well, what about this car? What about this car? That damn state attorney was so hard on for him to find anything and anybody involved in this. She would have found it. If somebody else was like involved, where it would be like to the point where they deserve to be behind, I'm sure she'll figure it out, or maybe they didn't know about it. But let me tell you, when I say that woman put in work, bro, like work, there's no way she was able to find all of this. She's great. Like she was a cocky thing. And, I don't really, there's some things that I can say about the other fucking state attorney. But we're not ready for that one either. We're definitely ready for that gun. You're not ready.
Did you hear?
But,
did you hear that story about the deposition with the woman who said he tried to reach out to her, the one that encountered him that day?
Which one? The older lady?
He peed in her car. So he peed in her car. She encountered him. She took a picture of him. And then she said that he reached out and tried to call her and like add her onto Smart Inmate. She said it a few times that he kept trying to reach out to her.
Why would he do that?
And she was just somebody who encountered him. And I just was wondering why he would, like, what would make him do that,
I mean, no offense, but he would have had to have her number to be able to reach out after. Right?
So supposedly he got her number. He had somebody on the outside get her number, and he called her. And she said that the call would come in and say, this call is coming from, an inmate at Lee County, and she would never accept it. And then she said he also sent her an email trying to have her accept him on, to go on to Smart Inmate.
He probably thought that she would have been a witness or something. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe he thought,
that's what I was thinking,
all crazy and strung out or whatever at that particular time, maybe she could vouch for it, just like he tried to pull in that girl that dated Josh, that Alexis or whatever, the one that was in jail. That was supposedly one of his witnesses, but yet she never reached out to anybody, or she didn't come forward because he was trying to get her to bullshit. Like, it's just crazy. He's just crazy. It's crazy.
Anything to try to help himself. That's
there is things that don't make sense, and I know people think, because like Josh, obviously, the one from Mateo's graphics obviously knew him well enough. They all knew the same people. He definitely, I don't believe, was full wholehearted with the truth on that. But I mean, he knew him.
Yeah,
he knew him.
I don't think Jason was truthful either.
Jason,
Jason said he didn't give him any.
No, he did.
But he said he didn't give him anything, and I think he did give him
Oh,
something.
they all
I
were
don't think he
doing
was
it.
truthful about
All
that.
demons blew over. All of them. All they, including other people that I don't even want to talk about. They all were. All of them. That's why Lee Hollander mentioned it and said, "So what were you doing that night?" to some of the people, because that was not being stated that that was the case. They were trying to go completely around that. They were. I'm not going to lie. They were trying to go around the fact that all of them were on substances that night. But which didn't really make a difference because none of them did what he did. So it doesn't make a difference what they were doing. People party, it is what it is.
It's irrelevant.
I know they were probably embarrassed to say something because, her family was there and, a lot of people, maybe they didn't want to know that type, you know what I mean? Like sometimes maybe she just wanted to be around people that had fun. Like who cares? But like, I just don't understand why you would get up there and say you didn't know him just because obviously you did. We know, like, come on. There's no way that he knows so much about you and is so comfortable going to you if he didn't know you. But that's my opinion. But that's the only
exactly.
But, I don't know if he maybe felt that it would have made a difference or not. I don't know. I feel like it's stupid to get up there and say you don't know somebody when you clearly have been around him a few times.
Yeah, maybe he just thought it would hurt the case, and people think stupid things sometimes, and they're like. Maybe he just was afraid it would hurt the case.
People are digging so much into what they saw or what they didn't and all these inconsistencies. That poor other woman, it's been 4 years, the one older lady that was a win. Like her and her husband, they were so sweet and like, how are you going to even like, all these people after years and dragging this out and people trying to heal and you're just ripping shit back open. Like, it was not fun. Yeah. And I can't wait for Coral to put this together because then everybody might understand a little bit more on, what's going on with things and finally clear the air. And maybe people will open their eyes and realize that, he is not innocent. And it's not to sit there and be like, oh, screw Wade or we're going to go. I'm not about that at all. If you haven't noticed, I even felt bad for raising my voice to that girl earlier who clearly deserved it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I am not one to sit there and bash, but you're not going to sit there and tell me that this man is innocent because you believe some damn pictures and videos of him in a suit and you're mesmerized. Like, you're not going to tell me that. That's where I'm drawing the damn line because it's not fair and it's not right. And those victims deserve peace. Those families deserve peace. Like, they all deserve
And I think
peace.
you're going to be able to clear up a lot of things. I do think you're going to be able to clear up a lot of things once you talk and you share what you have and Mel shares what she has. But be prepared that, they're still going to think what they think. And you may change, if there's 100 of them, maybe you'll change 50 of them.
As long as I know that what I had seen in the facts are coming out and it's out there floating around. And maybe, all these people, if they're going to believe what they want to believe, if you're going to continue to believe somebody until he screws you over or ignores you or doesn't answer you back, then you know what? Which is what happened to a lot of them. They all thought that they were something special. He turned on them. They all, turned on him after. It just seems to be the damn thing that happened, And it sucks. But at the end of the day, just like her, like that girl, like Courtney, I think her name, right? Is that her name? I don't want to get them right. Well, she was so convinced that he was telling the truth and that he was being honest and like she was going 10 toes down as his friend, like trying to get a story out there just to be told, do that. Like he's horrible. And I understand that she did what she did and I get it. And I'm not going to down anybody.
But then look what he did to her. He talked shit about her on the calls and dogged her out.
He literally talked so much shit about me to everybody. And I was the one that was supposed, like, it bothers me. And it's not because, oh, I love him. No, but like, can you imagine having to not like love somebody anymore? Or you genuinely do love somebody, but you have to go away. Like you have to remove yourself because the person you
can't just turn your feelings off.
You can't. And it's not that like, oh my God, I love what, no, that's not the case at all. And people say, oh,
no, it's just you can't turn that off.
Because it's a lesson. It is a fucking lesson, dude. Even though I hate it every time I look down, but it is a damn lesson to not be so naive and trusting and even though I wear my heart on my sleeve every time, and I'll believe you until you give me a reason not to, and that's my problem. Even when I peep shit, and I'm very good with my intuition, like I'm very sensitive for some reason to some things, and I feel things. Like I can feel that Sparrow was genuine apologizing. I can feel even in certain parts of conversations with him when he was genuine about how he felt with certain things going on. I can always feel it, but I did not feel any of that from that girl, and it still bothers me. Because I was so nasty to her, and it bothers me that I was nasty and got brought out of my character. But it's still bothering me that I came at her like that. But at the end of the day, like it still didn't seem to do anything because she continues. And that's what I don't understand is that.
Take it down.
No, she didn't. And I was gonna stay off live.
And she said she was going to.
Mama never told me to, and I should have listened and not gotten back on. But like I don't. I don't know. I just think that this is going on long enough. It's stupid. Like this should just be done with and over with. If this was anybody else who had done this shit, nobody would have even turned this into any of it. Not even a fraction. Nope. If he was an ugly, short, little, chunky dude with a receding hairline, you really think these bitches would be so fucking torn up? I'm just saying it.
Absolutely. And I've said that from the beginning. Nobody would get this kind of attention if he was just some. But if there's a guy right now, a fat, bald guy on D-Row that nobody gives two shits about, you know? It's the thirst traps that they put out there, and,
as soon as he got approved for them damn suits, he knew exactly what it was going to be. They had been planning to make him big on TikTok because in his mind, he really thought that if he had enough people supporting him that thought he was innocent, that it was going to persuade the judge and everything else when there's actual evidence. Everything else is hearsay with him. Like, I'm innocent, I'm this, I'm that. And he's not innocent. I was set up. That's the words. I mean, he has said it one time to me that he was innocent. There was one time where he said, when I said, well, did you do it? And he had said, no, I'm innocent. Like, I didn't do this. He had said that, but that was it. That was the only time. Every other time it was like about lawyers or just, other stuff. But he is always a very persistent person. I mean, all the time. Like when he wants something done or needs it done, he will fucking drive you crazy until it's done. But I don't know. I just
he had all those girls trying to call the jail for him. Every girl trying to call the jail, see what you can do, see if you can get me this, see if you can get me that. I mean, he's persuasive.
When I was the only one really, I probably wasn't the only one, but when I was one of the only ones around, when he was away, getting in his, what's it called? He was in confinement for what happened with Bonnie and everything. And because he had overdosed and almost died, and they came in and got him, and they put him in, the box is what it's called. And they took his canteen and everything. And how they did treat him in there at the time when, regardless of what he'd done, it wasn't humane. And I didn't believe it was right because I believed that he was innocent. So when all that was going down, I'm sitting there, I'm calling the jail. I'm telling Wink News. I'm calling everywhere. I'm making reports. I'm talking to everybody. I blew up Lee County Jail's phone like crazy, trying to talk to this captain, this captain, this captain. And I went into this one court date, and I've said this before, where he was literally about 75 pounds total. He had lost, and his face was so skinny. And I freaking was like, I turned to his one lawyer for this case specifically, was Malcolm. And I'm like, do you not see him? I'm like, look at him right now. That he looks so horrible because his face was all sunken and he looked like he was on a bender. That's how skinny he had gotten, just in those couple of months. And that. Who was around then? Nobody was there. It's just crazy that he's got all these people now after he was seen in a suit at a fucking trial. But when all the shit needed to be done, or he needed people in court or anything, nobody was ever there. And then he just talks so low about people. It just hurts me. And it's not even that it was about me, but he says it about Jesse. He sits there and says that, oh my God, you're the only, he's doing the same to everybody. And it still sucks, regardless of how stupid you think everyone is. It still sucks to have to go through that emotionally with anybody, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm not saying that and nobody deserves it. I mean, whatever, they're, being stupid. After knowing what you know and you continue, it's literally the definition of insanity. You do the same thing repeatedly, trying to get a different result, and never ever happens. That's exactly what he is. Mission of insanity. That's what I think about when you have to compare. But thank you for having me come in. I just
Yeah, of course.
and
I
it's
think you needed to
Everybody
get it all
supports
off your
Let me just
chest.
say this real quick, but I know Jason gave him bad stuff. Jason didn't give him bad stuff. Jason was probably honestly doing different shit. Okay, like they were all doing different types of rugs. So if you take somebody who does it every day and you tap into their bag, and then like let's say if you were anything like me as a drug addict, I did both. So my shit was mixed together at all times. So if you were doing mine, you were doing what I did, and that's what it was. So it could very well much be the same. And when people like him with those disorders, with uppers mixed with downers, it's like it causes a completely different reaction with people like that. And God knows what else like he was on. I mean, he honestly thought he was on Flocka, like the way that things were happening. He thought that he was on Flocka, but I don't know what blunt he was, or that thing he was smoking. I don't know. He had one behind each ear, so I don't know. It could have been in that. It could have been in whatever he sniffed. Could just be that he had horrible psychological disorders that when you give somebody like him these type of rugs, they turn into complete. They can't handle it. Their brain is imbalanced so much that they can't handle it, and they go crazy. That's when the schizoaffective starts. That's when the psychosis starts. That's when you start hearing things, you start seeing things, you start doing all of it. It's all like, you just can't, not to mention how many days he was probably awake. Y'all don't even like put all of that into consideration. He had been doing uppers for days with all, not just with, people that he was with. It's like partying and everything. But he had unlimited access to uppers. Let me just explain that to everybody that was around. He had unlimited whenever he needed or wanted it. So when you do that much of that with stuff that he's got wrong with him, including alcohol. I can't hear you, Christy. It went out.
Sorry. I remember he had a call when he was on the call with Mila too. She was like, "Oh, you don't do good on Beth." So we know that, like, obviously.
When he came out of that listen, let me tell you, when he came out of that bathroom, I think that's the drug that he might have sniffed with Jason, because when I tell you he came out like holding his face, and if anybody knows that particular, it burned really, really bad when it like bad, like it feels like your shit's melting off, like, and when he walked out, he was making this face like and holding it like, so I think that's what it was. And when he's on that, dude, it's like, it's night and day.
Well, in that one call, he told her that he thought that's what it was, but it was bath.
It could have necessarily, I mean, it could, you don't know, but I think that mixing all of it together is what did it. You can't
It's a recipe for disaster.
All of these different levels of potency of these rugs. You know what I'm saying? You got people who have things that are like not strong, things are strong, and everybody's just passing things around. You don't really know what it is. And if you crush up Beth to a powder, it can be easily mistaken as the other crap. Yeah, cool.
Right.
If the truth can change one person out of fucking 50, I'll be happy, just because it's one more person that realizes that he doesn't have control over. It's one more person that he can't manipulate. When you take away a narcissistic man's power and they have nothing, literally fucking fold like baloney. It's not even funny. He has
I say this all the time. I'm like, if he couldn't talk to anybody, call or email anybody, he'd lose his mind. That would be more of a punishment than anything.
No, absolutely. Especially
because he'd have nobody to manipulate.
So broke.
I say that all the time. I'm like, if he didn't have, all these people that he's talking to, and, the access to the emails constantly and the phone, he'd have nothing.
No, he wouldn't. But even that, he can have the phone, he can call as many people as he wants, but if he doesn't have people believing him, if he doesn't have that grip anymore, if he doesn't have that pull, it doesn't. And it's crazy because, like, if you are involved with Wade and you start to pull back, he won't talk to you anymore. Like, he'll just pull back and move on to the next person. Like, he doesn't care. So, like, it's nothing that nobody's opinion, nobody's emotions, nobody's not even just like, he doesn't even care. Only reason he wants to fix is because of money. It's all what it boils down to. It's all it's ever going to boil down to. But like,
he's not attached to anybody or connected to anybody.
No. And even though I felt that he was with me and my circumstances were a little bit different than those girls, I still don't believe that it ever was. And what's crazy to me is what if I would have? Like, what if I would have went down there before Thanksgiving, like I had said I was going to do? Like, what if I had done that? Then what would have happened? Can you imagine not only the fool and the clown that I would have looked like marrying somebody that would have eventually would have all came out that I was, obviously just being lied to and used even more. I couldn't even imagine what would have happened,
Yeah, that he was playing everybody and
And the
talking to all
fact that
these
they
women and all
allowed
these
him
calls
after
came out.
everything to have a tablet and even have, I mean, I know it's his right that he's allowed to be able to have what he's, but like, I don't feel like they should have allowed him to buy a tablet. Like he's shown so many times that through messaging and phone calls that he literally has lost his privileges
Yeah,
so many times because he does not, he just doesn't stop.
it's true.
And then
It's true. The fact that they even allowed it.
going on. And then he sat there and was like, I don't understand why they're like being mean to me, they're starving me. And like every part of me, even though I was so in love with him at the time, I wanted to be like, well, dude, like you just had somebody try to bring drugs into a jail. What do you mean? And you just OD'd. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you not realize? What do you mean? Like, what? So like,
Yeah,
part of it
he's
was
the
kinda
victim.
like, I was like, okay, you know what? Like, because he never told me. The lawyers called me and told me. The lawyers called me and told me what had happened.
About him ODing?
Yeah, because he didn't tell me. He didn't tell me any of it. He didn't even tell me why he got the DR. He tried to play it off like it wasn't going to be on the news. I'm like, I didn't know who Bonnie was. He tried to play it so good that like he didn't think that I knew. And then when I had asked him about it, he had, did what he did with everybody else. Like, it's in the thing. She's the friend and blah, 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 and all this shit. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have anything to do with any of that. That's the one thing I can safely say. I didn't know about any of it. That's the one, that type of things I didn't know about. I only knew about the ones that he would like, talk to get money because I was going through some stuff and I couldn't do it, but I knew about it. Like he would literally tell me, even tell me about one of the girls that was in another country, like the UK or the other country that he would send them money and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know what? Go ahead. As long as you don't like,
Bother me for it.
for somebody, but of course that was that crash and burn. Ugh, God.
Well, listen, like you said, we said, you do live and you learn, and you're doing the right thing with yourself.
The tattoo on my wrist too. What?
I know. You could always get it covered up.
Well, I have a woman that reached out to me that does laser removal, and she even offered to do it free for me if I came to her. So I was like, dang, like I'll make the trip. I'll pay you.
I heard it's painful.
I don't care. It was painful to get. What do you mean?
That's true.
This shit was the worst thing
That's
ever.
true. I don't have any tattoos, so I wouldn't know.
I got to get them removed. I just don't even want to. Oh, God.
Yeah, I heard it was painful, but
it is painful.
listen.
It's even more painful that I love that type of pain. Like I was one of those people when I was younger that I used to like self-harm. So tattoos as an adult are like a release for me. You know what I mean? Not saying that I do that, but it is a release for me. So, it did, but I don't know. I'm just, I don't know.
yeah. Well, listen, if you have someone willing to do it,
like I don't even know.
when you're ready, if you have someone that's willing to do it, you do it when you're ready.
No, I am. And it's not
Listen,
like
you don't have to
sat there and we're like, oh, she wants to keep on to it as a lesson. Yeah, I do. Because you know what? I went through a lot emotionally and I'm a totally different person than I was in a different mindset than when I had gotten the damn thing. So like, that's another thing that, people were saying. But, I just hope that people who pass judgment on anybody who talks to anybody in jail to just put yourself in those shoes with somebody that you care about and really, really, really differentiate whether you're going to be that ride or die person for your person, or are you going to be the one that steps away immediately after anything, like it's just crazy that people, because of who he is, and people are just so like, that just drives me crazy because I don't have hate towards any of those girls, no matter how many times I've heard calls where they talk shit or made fun of me. I don't particularly care for Jessie just because of the things that she has done and that I've heard from like Mel, like, what she's had done. Like, just, I don't particularly care for the girl, but like, I don't feel that it's right to call everybody dumb kiosk people. I mean, I know some of them we were arrogant and stupid, but like we have feelings. Like I know nobody wants to hear about that, but like I'm a fucking human. All right, I'm a good-hearted person that saw the good in somebody, and I thought that they were telling me the truth. If that makes me a bad person because I did what anybody else would have done in that situation, but yet everybody wants to talk about like the negative. Not saying you guys, but you don't see the fact that like I left and the messages that I gave for them to show him telling me I'm sorry, like sorry, and to calm down, and like I was freaking out, and like and it wasn't even that like he was just an inmate, but like if people make dumb mistakes, all right, and I'm going to answer your question, T Prince, no disrespect, but a lot of people don't understand the reason why people want to be with an inmate. Well, when you meet somebody or you are having phone calls, and it's called jail love, when these people, when you're vulnerable or you're lonely and you're getting attention or you're getting validation or you're getting what you're craving from somebody and they're giving it to you, nobody can say anything, because I guarantee you, if it were to happen to you, people would definitely put a different perspective in it, because they don't know, because it hasn't happened. But just because somebody's an inmate and they make crappy decisions doesn't mean they're not capable of change. So when people sit there and do date people that make horrible decisions and they want to change their life, and you want to be there and support them, like there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, unpopular opinion, but if you're going to love somebody for who they are, regardless of what they do, and you're going to be there for them, and they've learned from their mistakes or anything like that, and you have that right to make that decision, and nobody can tell you different. But if that's not the case, and you find out that they're liars, and like in the case like I did, dating an inmate wasn't the problem. It was the fact of this man did these horrible things, and no matter how, I mean, there's a difference between being stupid and there's a difference between like being naive at the point. And I was very naive, like I believed everything. So of course, but I also didn't stay, trying to still marry him or do all this after I just,
Right. Once you saw the truth, you stepped away, and you can't fault somebody for maybe, wanting to believe that what he was telling you was the truth. You loved him. You wanted to believe it. When we love people, like they say, love is blind, right? Like it's true. Love is blind. We turn a blind eye. And we want so badly to believe.
I turned a blind eye, because it wasn't that I knew he was guilty and still decided to love the guy. Because that was
what I mean is,
I know what you mean though. Like you choose to allow your emotions to clearly cloud your judgment to make a decision. I get what you're meaning. I was just trying to, because people take things different. But
I know. But it's not that you turned a blind eye and said, oh yeah, he did this and I'm still going to love, It's that, you want to believe it because you love this person, and maybe
I still,
you knew.
a part of me still, sorry for interrupting you, it just popped in my head. A part of me still, even after hearing the first set of evidence, like a part of me just kept playing everything that he had told me and everything that I had known, like through my head. And there was a part of me that, like, oh my God, maybe there's still a possibility. Like, I know he did this, but maybe he didn't do the second one. Like, I was really still hoping, like, maybe, he's just was horrible. The drugs did this, maybe. And not saying that I was going to still support him, but I was hoping that maybe one of them was true. Like I was really hoping that
have an answer.
Something wasn't a lie. Like I was just praying that maybe he wasn't lying about something, but that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. So, and it sucks. Because, you can call me dumb or anything, but like when you sit there and think that, because when you're put in that position and somebody is going through that, and you want to understand, and then you wholeheartedly feel like they're innocent, then, like, I get it. But like, after finding out, like, I understand, like, me going hard in there beforehand and then finding out and then leaving, like, but she knew what was said even after, and she continued. Like, that's like, why would you even put it in the same category? It's not. Like, I'm nowhere near in that damn, like, there's... I don't.
Nope.
Nothing.
That's what I said. I said, out of everybody, the only person that I feel like she can come back. She can't come back from it is Jessie, because she knows everything, and she corroborated with him and talked about the victims, disgusting, and his donors and everything. So, as far as I'm concerned.
That was crazy to me too, that he had said that stuff and people still think that he's a good person. Like he told you exactly, like he's been showing you exactly who he is from day one. He has been showing everybody since before the trial, since he freaking blew up the news station and told them and to get them to get an interview with him. Like he has been, let's just say, I can't wait to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Y'all just don't.
And the call stopped in 2019. And we hear him in 2019 the way he was scheming in 2019.
Yeah, that's all he's ever done. He has.
So, I mean,
this entire time
it hasn't changed in 5 years.
Figure out. Well, first his one story changed, and then he was set up by this person. Then he was set up, and then the setup went to a completely different thing, and then other people for other things were involved in some whole other thing. Like you guys don't even know. Like when I tell you, this man wrote pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of things that didn't even have to do with this case. The reason he has made this trial go out so long and switching lawyers and doing this is because he knew that making it look like that he's tried for something but not convicted for so long, he's got to be innocent. They've got to not have anything on him. But in the whole time, in reality, the state was building everything they fucking needed and then some. I can't get over everybody saying he's innocent, and it is what it is. And it's not like I'm trying to be like, oh, I hate him and I want him to burn because I'm mad at that. No, it's nothing like that. It's the fact that like there is so much that nobody knows and people are, still making him, like he still has all this support, which is, whatever, people can do what they want, but like you're supporting what's wrong and you wonder why people like, I just don't understand how they in their head think it's okay. But I get it. Like I've said, people they hate what they don't understand. And then he's very smart. So when he throws out these little bits of this or little bits of that, he knows it's going to make those people that are into conspiracies, he knows it's going to fumble their mind and make them think and make them do this and come up with this new thing and come up with that. Like that's what he wanted to do. And just like you had said with the whole hit that he had, that everybody kept saying, this man was claiming that he was a supremacist, but he was having encounters with not only men, but with multiple skin-colored men. Not to mention, he murdered women. That's against everything that they stand for, and then you're going to claim that you're one of them? Do you really think that he wanted to be in Gen Pop? Like, do y'all really think that he wanted to be in Gen Pop? You really think with all of that, knowing that he was impersonating, knowing that he never really had any type of association and he's been doing that just to scare people, you really think that they would take that lightly? If he was in Gen Pop, there's no way. He wouldn't even have made it this far if he was in Gen Pop, and that's a fact. Everybody's like, oh, the death penalty. He wants to be in confinement. He doesn't want to have to be. It was all, and if you cared that much about it, I'm sorry, but if you were about to tell me I'm getting a death penalty for 2 things I didn't do, I don't give a shit what you say. I'm standing up and I'm going to tell you everything so I can at least get my shit out for everybody to hear. And then if you want to sentence me still, I will still do everything I can to prove. Like, all he's ever done is talk about money, his GoFundMe, not to prove his innocence, not to do this and get that. This is going to do nothing. It doesn't, like, he wanted a laptop so he can get his like all his stuff and go over it. No, he wanted the laptop so he can do nasty, dirty things on video with people, because he told me to go buy a Wi-Fi box once he did get it and to put it outside the jail so that way he can video call me whenever he wanted to. Like, he had that's why he didn't get approved for it, because on the phone calls he was telling everybody what he was going to do. Like, you're stupid. Tell on yourself. And then he only wanted that laptop, and it wasn't to prove his innocence. It was literally so he could just go on social media. Like, that's all he ever talked about. And if you listen to any of the calls when he talks to them, none of it's about how my fans feel or how these people supporting me feel, or I am so sorry that it came out like that. But like, none of that was said. It's always about, where's my money? Can you do this? Can you do that? It's nothing about like, hey, have you talked to the lawyer about this? Did you get there was nothing except for money, 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 money. And when you're going to give it and what it's going to, like, that's all he cares about. And he's showing everybody that. He's showing it right in front of everybody. He literally, everybody, nobody it doesn't matter. Like, he's showing you exactly who he is, and y'all are just fucking going, not you, but you know, everybody, they're just going with it, making it. I can't understand
And
it.
most of his supporters aren't even in this country. I mean, let's face it, he lost a lot of supporters after all the calls came out. You can say anything you want to them, and they are going to still feel the way they feel and think that, you know, he shouldn't get
But once we
DP.
go, and I get that, and everybody, but everybody's pushing for him not to get the death penalty, but like, he's not going to come out and say it, but he doesn't want, like,
He wants it.
he doesn't want to be in Gen Pop. He's still going to be in there like almost 18, 20 years before any of this happens, regardless. He's going to do almost a whole bid. So
Yeah. That's why I don't get why why are they going so hard for taking the DP off the table?
And I get it, because I believe I'm a firm believer, and he should sit in his shit and be miserable for the rest of his life. I believe wholeheartedly. I agree with that. But like I've said before, the qualifications, the things that qualify you as a murderer, to give the, even in the fraction, like even in the damn like same like the same ballpark as that, the things that you have to do, and intent, and everything that you have to, there's things that you have to do to be even in that category as a murderer. And there's just so much that's why it's never been not on the table, and that's why they went so harshly for it. And I think if anybody, just like I said, puts two and two together, this judge has been with him from the get-go. This judge has been there the entire time. He's been there through every motion, every court date, everything. He has seen every aspect of him. He's seen all different kinds of ways of him. He's seen his attitude. He's seen his mad. He's seen him get yet. Like, he has seen so many different sides of Wade that y'all don't even know, from other things that were frustrating him, from like the times where he was in court where all Wade did was talk, you know, like y'all don't see those. So like, this judge did not make this decision lightly. Like, this judge did not sit here and decide to do this overnight.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that he had good lawyers. I think that's important that you said that, because I think even myself, when I saw what I saw, I was like, well, the one thing I will say is he really didn't have a good defense team. And, you know, hearing you say that makes me think twice now.
Team, bro. He had look up that entire law firm, bro. That entire law firm is very, very good. Lee Hollander might be old, but he's good. Kevin, Lee got up a few times and kind of spit back a little bit. Like, Lee's good, but you have to have something for them to defend. You have to have something to come back for everything that they throw at you, and he had nothing. He had nothing. What are they going to get up there for and go 10 toes down for this man that has not only given him so much shit throughout the couple months when they became the lawyers, from him harassing them, letters, multiple people calling, like, you don't even know. And there was times where Wade would tell them things, but only when Wade would want to tell them. Like, there was times where they tried to get information or talk to him, and he refused to see them. He gave them so many freaking issues, it's not even funny. So,
yeah.
But nobody knows that. Nobody knows any of that. Everybody just thinks he had an unfair thing, but it's not unfair. Don't get me wrong, it was relatively quick for the kind of trial it was, because he had nothing, not one witness, not one piece of evidence, not one thing to back up anything that they threw at him. Not one, not even a fucking expression, dog. Like, not one. So, like, but
the only thing they could do was ask for them to spare his life. That's all they had. That's it.
And even then, and they did ask. But at the end of the day, after they had to sit here, because these lawyers didn't see any of this until then either. They might have had, you know, discovered everything, but you don't understand where they're coming from, having to sit there and look at it too. And then they have to stand up and defend this man who is giving them nothing for them to believe that he's innocent. Not one fucking thing. Not anything. Not one. Because if that was the case, if you look at their wins to losses, they're good lawyers. They were great lawyers. And so was the state attorney. She shined like a fucking diamond, and she did that. She did her job, but she was good at it. And that woman would not just put anybody in for no reason. And if he didn't do what he had done to multiple women in his past and everything else, which, because he's never convicted, anybody else, just like me, was naive and thought, okay, you weren't convicted. Obviously, people were just mad. It happens. I've seen it. People, you know what I mean? You learn that you try to trust. And now, I mean, it's been in front of everybody this whole time. We just chose to not believe it because we wanted so hard to believe that somebody didn't deserve something, right? We looked past all the other stuff. Because that's how I looked at it. I was like, okay, well, he wasn't convicted for any of it. So you know what? Maybe, maybe they were just jealous. Because I know women who do that. I've seen a lot of decent men's lives get ruined by women. So, I'm naive at the time and I believe, but it's not the case. And like I said, I can't wait for
plea deals?
Huh?
Did he have any plea deals on the table?
For what?
Because I'm just wondering, like,
plea deals on.
I mean, that.
There was a couple. What was it? I believe there was one. I don't remember off the top of my head. I have it. All the paperwork somewhere. I just don't. I have it on suitcase. Actually, not even. I have to look.
This is my thought process. Mine was this. At minimum, I think if he really wanted to, he could have gotten DP off the table. This is my thought. If he would have at least just not let them go to trial and said, I'll plead guilty. I think that they possibly would have said to him, if you plead guilty, we'll take the DP off the table. That's just my thought. So I was wondering if that was.
I don't know because I think they've always
him.
gone through. No, I don't know. I think that once the confession happened, they've just made the decision the whole time for it. To be honest, because of what he had done to them. It wasn't just this guy just saw these two girls and strangled and killed them. Like it was not. That is not it. Not even close. I don't want to hurt Brandon. I don't want to hurt anybody in their families either by saying what I had seen as well. So like,
It's always going to have something to say. And you know what you're doing with your life. I've said this before when you weren't on the live, when people have asked me like, why do you support her or whatever? And I've said, it's not easy to fix yourself. It's not easy to get clean. It's not easy to raise kids alone and go to school to try to advance your career and run a small business and, do all the things that you're doing. And I said, how can we not support someone who's trying to better themselves, And that's how I feel. And I think that that's how a lot of people feel.
True. And I would understand being so, you're fine. I would understand being so like disliked and hated for still supporting him or whatever. Like that's completely understandable for people to say. But like, even when people found out that like why I walked away and that I was there, like it didn't really even seem to make that much a difference because people still had something to say, something to say about it. But I believe that once, we were able to sit down, between me and Mel, just because that's verification, because she was the only other person there that I know about that, was there the whole time. I mean, she's even stated like she watched me very carefully through the whole thing to watch, like how I was reacting and, she could tell everything. Like she was there right behind me watching as well as I was. So it's like, I mean, I shouldn't have been in the situation from the beginning, and that's true. I shouldn't have, but you know what? It is what it is, and I was. And this is just how it is. Like, I can't go back and change anything.
But you take accountability for it. And when you saw the truth, you walked away.
Go in and witness it. Like, if I had, like, I don't ever downplay, like, how down I was for him. You know what I mean? But, like, if the one thing, if it's one thing he's good at, it's shuffling up, it's stirring the pot. And he will come up with a whole bunch of new shit, old shit, this shit, that shit, you shit, me shit, I shit, just if he can, just to keep it live. And he will. And just wait, I'm telling you right now, throughout the next couple of years, as soon as it dies down, he's going to come out with something or do something or say something that's going to make people think something. And it's going to be a whole nother thing again and again and again until this is over. He's never going to not let it be him as the topic. He is going to do everything he can to keep himself in the spotlight, to continue to get money, to continue to be comfortable there. because he feels that that is what is important to him, that he wants to be comfortable, and that's all it is. So the sooner people realize that, you know, and if all the stuff that he was doing was so great, why is there legal cases? Why is Jesse going down? Why is all this happening? And then he's talking about the people that donate to him right in front of you, right in front of you, being out, and he knows these calls are being released. He's been told this how long ago, and he's still doing it. And like I said, he's literally showing everybody exactly who he is. He tells everybody pieces of the truth because a lot of people aren't going to believe him anyway. So he'll tell you the truth because he doesn't believe you're going to believe him anyway. And he'll just say it to get it out there to get people to think, regardless how much of it is fact or how much of it is exaggerated. That's just the truth.
Yeah. And everything you said is what Steve said. It's the same thing that Steve said, is that he only cares about the money.
Oh yeah.
He said he only cares about the money. You know, same things that basically that you said is the same exact thing that Steve said, because you guys know the real him.
Yeah, and I don't even really know Steve like that, to be honest. I've never talked to him. I've never even seen a lot. I don't keep up with any of this. If you haven't noticed, I ask questions about things that y'all know and I don't, just for the drama aspect. Like I don't keep up with any of it. Like I'm still figuring out names when people tell me. But if I didn't know Wade at a level that other people didn't, you know, like then it wouldn't be credible, you know. And everybody, like I said, they can say what they want, but he's going to continue showing you exactly who he is. But because of the sex appeal and the fact that everybody just thinks he's just, that's all it is there's, you know, thinking with their hamburgers instead of their brains. It's fucking crazy.
That's what it comes down to.
Like, and if anybody were to be naive enough to think that he would have come out, like there was so much, like, I can't even explain. Like even in that damn letter that I found, it even said, hold on. It even said, cannot wait. We need to be married or something like that. Hold on. I've ripped the other one. I saved this one, so I wanted to send it to. I can only imagine, hope that with what you're catching back up financially, that you are putting something aside little by little to make that trip to Alabama. And this is what he's talking about, is he wanted me to have somebody impersonate him with his ID to get legally married to him before he left. I do have to admit, despite any of the circumstances or situations, despite any of that and all, I am without a doubt the most fortunate man on the planet Earth, and with you by my side. I love you so much, and I'm committed to you, trusting in you, and forever yours, and let's get married already. Like, this is his handwriting. Like, I'm the love crazy. What the fuck? But it's okay. I'm nothing. And everybody's like, oh, you're just upset or anything. No. And if you're going to call me upset because somebody wrote, literally, like, when I tell you thousands, I had a large Walmart box, like the large size, full of them. Full. Including the card he had sent me shortly after the trial that said, fly away with me. It was for my birthday, telling me, like, happy birthday and everything, and that hopefully one day we would be, just a whole bunch of shit. And it's like, and then it just
even with the
up.
suits, I'm like, he knew what he was, even with the suits, he knew what he was doing. He knew that he was going to be on TV and he was going to create these thirst traps.
He literally told me how big it was going, like towards like the week before he had said that, like how big, because I didn't think it was going to turn into this. I really didn't think it was going to be like all of this. And he just kept saying, like, you know, it's just going to be really big. There's going to be a lot of people. Like, he just kept talking about news crew and all this stuff. And I honestly thought that I was safe from camera. I thought sitting behind him, like, I didn't know the angles because I couldn't see. It's not like they had a screen showing what they were recording, you know, like I couldn't see where I was at. And I thought I was safe because the first day I didn't really make it on camera like that. Like, I was kind of hidden, you know, even though I had the red and blue hair and purple, but I was kind of like hidden. And so
yeah, you weren't actually, I don't think, in that first video. You weren't in that first video, but then the other ones, you weren't in that first video.
The first
you were in
day,
the other one.
They had seen like clips of me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that big a deal. But when the second day, and I think it was because they were leaking, you know, they were giving videos, like they were doing, they knew what they were doing too, like the news crew, because some of the angles and photos that they did, if you look at these traps, how did they get these angles if they weren't they were like, some of these angles are very well
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I just want the truth out there. I want people to know what was seen and said, and like I just want the evidence that wasn't shown to be brought out, so that way they know, and that's all. And they deserve that. Like Diana, Christine deserve that. If anything, their family, they deserve the truth, because for the fact that so many people can be blindsided by looks and by what he says, and there's women that have lost their lives, like they're gone, they're not coming back, and women are so just, they don't care, they're still naive, and I get it, I can't even hate on it, I was too, but like I don't know how much you have to get shown, but I guess
But if they hear the truth, then, you know, if it, like you said, if it changes one or two people, then that's a victory for the victims, because it's one or two less people.
even if you don't believe me and these people who watch don't believe anything I say, it'll be in your head. It'll all start making sense. Everything that I'm going to tell you, when you have all these doubts and you have, no matter how much you want to admit it and not believe me, or you don't want to believe, you still want to believe them, it's going to click in your head. And it's going to get to the point where you're going to be like, oh my God, like she's telling the truth. Like there's no way she would have known this, or there's no way, like there's things that, you know, and it's fine. It'll happen. That light bulb will switch. But if I can implant the seed, if I can get it in your head to where you're going to think about it until one day, even if it's 10 years down the road, you freaking come to realization, at least you came to realization there's one more person he doesn't have control over. That's all I
It's
care
the
about.
missing pieces to the puzzle. It is. It's the missing pieces.
Yeah.
It's the missing pieces to the puzzle. And like I said, I mean, when I got off the phone, I spoke to Sparrow for 2 hours, and I was like, I'm like, she's like,
New trial, Sparrow started. I'm so confused with Allison. I'm trying to keep up.
I spoke to her for 2 hours, and she was like, well, you know, I'm definitely convinced about Christine, but I don't know. I just still have some questions about Diane. And she emailed me, I think the next day, and she was like, I spoke to Allie. She's like, and I like, now I know that. And I was like thinking to myself, like, wow, what you must have told her, because she really was on the fence. And after she spoke to you, she was like, no, now I know the
Because
truth.
I did tell her some things, and I asked her not to share, because out of respect, I want to be the one to say it. And so does, you know, Mel. I don't want anybody, you know, saying, well, she said, just know that I told her what she needed to know. And if somebody that was in her position is hardcore, she was against it. Like if she was able to come to a realization because I'm not like that defense attorney where when there's facts not being shown, I'm not going to open. No, I'm going to tell you're going to be like, oh, what about this? No, well, what about this? This is the example for this. This is why this didn't make sense. This is this far from this place. This is this, and then this, and then this, and this was this time. And when I say, like I've said before, that state attorney is good. She's good at her job. And if anybody else was involved to the point where she's not that type that's going to be like, oh, we got him, we're just gonna pin on it. No, she made sure that it wasn't like that. She did work. So if there was anybody else involved to the extent that he says they were involved in, she would have got them, because she would have gladly have been like, yeah, I got everybody involved. That would have been a victory for her. Why wouldn't she have, like, you know what I'm saying? She could have taken 2 people down, 2 more people off the road. Like, she would have done that if there was anything to do. If there was somebody else to do it with. Like, there's no way. And him saying that he had gone and they had, you know, sat down with him and said that they were going to take out this person and this person specifically.
That's what I said too. Like from the very beginning, when I heard his story, it's ridiculous.
It's not like
They specifically told him which one they were going to get rid of, and they connected the phones. I don't know if you heard that whole story, but it was so ridiculous.
it doesn't make, there's nothing that makes sense. And the reason why he's getting people to believe him is because there are certain things that don't make sense in it, but it's not big enough to where he's innocent. It's just stupid minor stuff that, like, you know, like downplaying how much you knew somebody because you're afraid. Like, I get that, but like, it's not, that wasn't gonna deter whether he was innocent or guilty. It wasn't. Like that little detail about like Josh not knowing, that's not gonna really, like, it makes it seem worse, but that's not gonna do anything. Like, that's not gonna make it any less of his fault. Like, it's not. So
Yeah. The inconsistencies that they're posting now, The
There was a lot
only
of
thing,
inconsistencies, but these people, it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years. They've been trying to heal and get over shit, and then you're ripping over new band-aids. Of course, everything's not going to be exactly the way it was 4 years ago. Who in the hell can remember detail by detail 4 years ago when you're trying to heal? If anybody knows what
yeah,
trauma
it's
is
actually
like.
5 years.
Yeah.
It's 5 years. And you know what? The depositions really were taken, I mean, they were taken, I think, 2019, I think they were taken 2 or 3 years after the case. You know, I mean, after the unalivings. So you're talking about 2 or 3 years they took the depositions, and then another 2 years until the trial happened. Who the hell remembers what they said? I mean, I don't remember what I ate yesterday, you know?
Dude, I can't even remember what I go into the next room for, like, clearly. And it's not even like it's there, like, and they weren't all off on their stories. Like, they were all pretty still the same. There was just,
They were
like,
pretty consistent, yeah.
they were.
For minor
And the
details.
inconsistencies are only people that are in their head that he put the story in. When Courtney put that whole setup story out and made it, like, seem I'm his best friend, and it's... That whole thing was just like that was to stir the pot. That was to get everybody thinking. Like, that's all it is. That's all it was. That's all he used her for. Like, that's all the only point. The only point.
Yeah.
There was no other reason to. It was to get something else out there, to start stirring things around and getting people to put 2 and 2 together, and then they're gonna think that he's this and he's think that he's that. He did all of this. He planned it all. He's very fucking smart.
Yeah.
A genius.
And
actually.
he said it. He literally said it. He said he's going, like, I forget how he worded it, but he basically said that, you know, he's just like, she's a trained something and he's got to lead her to water or something. Like, basically, you know, he's got to lead her into doing what he needs her to do, the work for him. And he pretty much said it, that's what it was all about, is using her to go and spread the word, you know? So it all came out. It all came to play. It all came to play. And now, look, they all heard him talk shit about every single one of them. He used and abused everybody.
What he is. He shows you exactly who he is. He's been showing y'all exactly who he is. But it doesn't matter. He knows it doesn't matter. That's the thing.
Nope.
He knows.
He knows it doesn't matter, and he doesn't care. And that's why I say I can't believe they're going this hard for him.
No, he didn't want a speedy trial. He wanted to drag this out as long as he could without a conviction to make it look like he was innocent. Because why on earth would you hold the man for that long if he was guilty?
Yeah, he sat in jail for 5 years because he wouldn't. And that's what Steve said. He was like, you know, if he would have just basically accepted his guilt from the very beginning, he would not have dragged this on. It would not have dragged on for 5 years. He dragged this on purpose.
Of course. And he's going to continue, just like the plea and the appeal, all this shit. It's all planned out and he knows what to do. When I tell you he has nothing but time on his hands and he reads everything. Like, I've sent him pages and pages of shit of different studies. Like, you don't even know. Like, he's very highly, like, he's aware of what he...
Oh yeah,
He's educating himself. Like, he does. I'll give him that. But like, y'all, it's just a control thing. It literally is. And once he doesn't have control over you anymore, he's been proven. He just dumps you to the side, like he did a couple other ones, including the one that was supposedly his best friend doing all this for him. Like, as soon as you're not needed, he throws you aside like you're trash. That's just how he is. He's always been like. He is going to be. He's that man that hops around from women to women, living with them, living off of them. And claiming that he is some big, you know, big time guy.
Yep. That's what he was basically homeless, hopping from each house, each woman, each girl. You know, that's
he
why.
He never had his own shit. Never had his own car. I never seen him in the driver's side of anybody's shit. He was always He was always in the passenger side of his best friend's fucking ride. Like, like, it's the truth. Like, think about it. Look at all the women that did have time with him before, like relationships and shit. What happened? He lived with them. They paid for everything. They took care of him. They got him like, it's never been him being the provider ever.
Nope. He's never really even held a job down.
He can't. He has a problem. He rebels against authority. He's
Yeah.
never going to keep anything. That's why he did what he thought he did, which would, in all honesty, was just kind of like a protection thing for some things, and you'll all find out all about everything shit.
Right. Right. But that's the bottom line. He's never fucking did shit
No.
except throw out the garbage at Mila's spot.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Even like when the whole thing with the Mike Williams, like all that other shit with like the funeral home and like everything else came out with that whole other case, like he really thought that was all going, like he literally in his mind one time tied the two together on the like on this, like I don't know how to explain it, like he sent me so many papers like with just all of this stuff explaining what had happened with that whole situation, and he was like, you need to get in touch with her lawyer and and she's innocent and all this stuff saying that the woman was innocent. And I'm like, okay, what does this has to do with you doing what you did? Like, what does it have to do? Oh, well, what does it have to do with it? Was this part of your set? Like, what was it part of? Like, nothing, it had nothing to do. You were just a part of it because you ran your mouth in jail to the wrong person and they thought they took you seriously and they thought you were going to do what you were going to do. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's fucking nuts. He got himself wrapped in a whole thing because he talked so much shit and made himself sound like he was somebody that he wasn't. And then I think he thought
everything else is that he believes that fear, if people are feared or intimidated, that's going to, like, in reality, that's just it's what it is. He wants people to fear him. Like, that's just he wants to be like, he got those tattoos to make it so nobody would mess with him, thinking that he was a part of something. But in reality, you can't do any of that. And then when you go against everything those things stand for, and you're making it sound like there's some horrible like Nazi gay, like some of those people are the nicest people I've ever met. Like those like hardcore Southern people that are like, like they might not be all in the ways of everything, but when it comes to like their morality and what they stand for, they stand for it, and they're big on women and children. Like, you do not do anything to them, like you just don't, and they don't play about it. So not only are you lying, but you're impersonating them, which upsets them, and then you're doing everything that they go against, and you're still claiming them, and you're just getting new ones everywhere. Like that's a problem. And he doesn't see that.
and making them look bad.
He knew that he was never going to get in Gen Pop for anybody to see it. He knew he knew all of this. Like, that you guys are just not, like, you're not seeing the bigger picture, and it's this annoying. Hi, you guys.
And that's why he wanted, and that's why he wanted to blow himself up too, because he knew that as long as he kept
because he knew that's the only way that he was going to be set for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Only
Well,
way.
that, and also he was gonna keep himself out of Gen Pop, because if he became a public figure, he would keep himself out of Gen Pop. They'd put him in solitary confinement. He'd be alone. He'd be safe. He's strategic. He really is, and that's why I say with the suits,
y'all only know what you know from what he says. You only know what he tells you, and that's for a reason. You only know what he tells you, and that's
exactly what he wants you to know. Yeah.
Period. And he'll tell you when. And he's slick about it, because he'll feed you little bits and then he'll stop, and then he'll feed, like, he knows what he's doing. And people who don't think he knows what he's doing, and he's been running the circus ring the whole time, and he still does. He still has lots of control over it, and that's the sad part. And like I said, it is what it is. Oh, big time. Are you kidding me? The letter he wrote me right before. Like, he was literally telling me that we need to be married already, and like, but then I'm nothing 1 second. Like, it just shows that he's just garbage. And if anybody was getting letters if anybody actually got letters from him, like real letters, and you understood the way Wade talks and the way he does talk to you, it is very easy for anybody, even somebody that calls bullshit on anybody, to get wrapped up into what he says, because he is so good with his words. He is. Like, he will talk you right out of your clothes. Like, he's good with his words. He's got charm. He's got charisma. He's a good-looking guy. Like, it's just, he knows what he's got, and he knows how to use it. And he knows that when women don't understand things and he can manipulate, he's going to do it. He's going to always do it. And that's what he's doing.
100%. I've seen that with just the calls, listening to the calls and the women he spoke to, and just listening to the way he spoke to some of these women. And I'm like, this is exactly what these people fall for, because I hear it and I'm like,
if I was, if he,
Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. It's okay, go ahead.
No, but like, it is hard because when you have conversations with somebody and the whole time you giggle and you roast each other and you're laughing and it's always like you have inside jokes and like it's personal, you know, like there's personal things that when he would call me, like he would say that reminded him of me, like stupid little things. Like I would always say, you know, like my ears, I have leaky wax in my ears. And I'd be like, oh my God, my ears are like so wet. Like we would joke about stuff like that. And he would be like, oh, your ears, like stupid stuff that makes you like drawn to the, you know, stupid, goofy stuff you do with anybody. So at that point, that's how he reels you in. You know, he shows you the normal side. He shows you the likable side. He shows you the side that he wants you to see. And then all you got to do is piss him off once. Tell him no one time. Tell him this one time. You'll see that you want to see the true way. Tell him no one time after you've been doing stuff. Tell him no one time. Then you're bitch this, bitch that, this, that, and the other. I'll do this. I'll, like, you don't even know. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah. But he does know, he knows how to connect.
Like, I don't see red flags. I was seeing they were fucking purple and everything else other than red, okay? And they were definitely red. They were like a deep red.
Yeah. But it's true, you know, like he knows how to ask you how your day is. He knows how to
right. Sorry, I was
sociopath for sure. He knows how to mirror you. He knows how to
he's got freaking borderline. You can tell he's definitely borderline. He adapts to whatever he feels that is like, it's crazy. And it's not even that crazy. It's just like it's crazy that how good he is at it. And it's such a waste of like potential of a person, because if he would have applied himself to not the life that he chose, that man could have been doing like it is sad because he did have the potential
for good.
He could, but you know, unfortunately, it's just not even okay. And you guys don't even know. Just wait until you hear what Mel and other people like they have to say of exactly what, because like you know, like she had talked to them, like he had called them and like. Just the things he said, like I can't even. She'll tell you. It was to the point where like she got up and puked multiple times throughout the conversation because how gruesome and horrible it was, and he was bragging about it. And this is before the confession, so like I can only imagine how they felt as his stepmom and his birth father being told all of this, and then you're put in a position where you have to be a parent for like the first time in the whole relationship between him and Wade. Steve had to do what a father should do, regardless of how anybody says it. But you know your son is not okay, and you do the right thing and get him away where he's not going to hurt anybody else. You can see it how you want it. I see that as brave. I see it as somebody knowing what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and he's standing down so nobody else would get hurt. Because you don't even understand the level of how many more people they would have found if he would have been still out. Like, you don't even know. All it takes is one sniff, and it's a dawn, like Donkey Kong. So why can't these things be released? It will be released. Just wait. It'll be released when it's meant to be released.
They will. She's gonna do. She is gonna do an interview, and she'll speak when she's ready to speak. And there's a lot to be said, and you guys have to understand that, like, this is emotionally draining for somebody. Like they have to now relive these things all over again. This isn't easy for them to do. You know, we're just watching from the outside. They're involved in this. This is their life. They had to live it, and to have to relive it again is not easy. And that's why, you know, Mel is a good person for you to be connected with, because they are good people. They have good intentions.
I've been on live tonight because she did tell me to get off to have myself for me, but like I'm by myself right now. My kids are asleep. Like Sarah and Mark are asleep. Who am I going to talk to? What am I going to do? I'm going crazy, and
yeah,
I don't know.
You could always text me, girl. You know, you could always text me, and if you need to talk, and you know, I really. I do. I love you. I'm like, I love this girl.
All was fake. Jesse's not a power of attorney for him. She just wrote that in.
Well, I don't know, because Sparrow did say.
She wrote that to everybody.
Sparrow did say she got the power of attorney, so.
Yeah, she told everybody she did. I mean, is there legal documentation that she sent to Malcolm or Lee to have it done?
I guess not. I mean, I don't know, you know.
Because if that was the case, then I would have been his power of attorney, because I was on paper as his power of attorney and his fiance, and I had to go through Lee and all them for them to even release anything to me. Like, it was a whole thing. So I mean, it could be, who knows? But I mean, with what she did now and ruining a lot of the things and doing what she did, I don't think that. I mean, if are they still even like involved with each other? Is it like?
I don't know. I mean, Sparrow said that she had some sort of, you know, she did still was connected a little bit. She's not obviously connected to, but she knows.
Jesse. Is Jesse and him still like? I don't even follow any of them. I don't ever.
What I was getting to was that she says that Sparrow says that she is still involved. So,
she told me that too. A little bit. I forgot.
And I think. And I think she knows that because she does still talk to some, you know, she has to be very careful, and I'm probably not even supposed to say that. But yeah, so I think she's probably still
because of Jesse. The rest assured, I'm coming. If anything happens to anybody because of Jesse, I'm coming because I've had enough, and you already done fucked my shit up.
Yeah,
I got nothing left to lose. Like,
you know what Sparrow said was she's gonna be involved as long as until he cuts her off. Well, she will be involved.
He's not gonna ever cut her off if she's got access to all of that. So I mean, but I mean, for you to sit,
he's not gonna cut her off.
That she's got his money until the judge says.
See, the reason why,
as soon as they take it from him, listen, the day that they take it from him. The day that they take everything from him, and she has gone, dude. You don't even. He already knows. It's already.
He don't even like her.
He doesn't like anybody. He doesn't like anybody.
Yeah. No, that's true. He's only out for himself. But I do think that there is a possibility that this power of attorney exists because
I mean, I don't know. I don't believe anything that anybody says because I know that she wrote on the paper that she was, but he had even said in some of those phone calls that it wasn't true. So I don't know what the real thing is.
Well, she definitely she did make up the cease and desist. We know she did that, and she did a terrible job at that.
Why would you even do that? That's like illegal. Like, those are people that were in this case. Are you stupid?
She's wild. I mean, I hope she gets in trouble for something. She needs to get busted for something.
That's tampering with witnesses. Are you serious? Like, you're the girlfriend of the guy who you. That is totally not okay. Like,
and sending
that alone is horrible. Not to mention everything else she has done legally, but I mean, I don't.
But I'm just saying the money and, you know, whether or not she put the money in a trust for him. Crazy. Yeah, it's all.
Just for some fucking friends, bro. Like,
you can't even make this shit up. You really can't.
Like, dude, like,
you can't.
I still can't get over that it has been shown that he was going to give up a location of a body that he was responsible for taking, but yet for a burger and fries,
but he didn't do it.
Set out of his mouth. It was set out of his mouth, and everybody still is like, "Oh, he's innocent. He was just yeah." And a McFlurry. The one thing I didn't like, and a McFlurry. The only thing I can say negatively about the state attorney when she was talking about psychosis, it was pissing me off a little bit because if anybody knows, when you do that type of rug, you know, the psychosis lasts forever. Like, I'm talking weeks. Like, I wasn't even good. Like, I wasn't even okay. You know, that has been through the same thing. Like, and I'm sure, you know, Papa Steve would understand too, like, where that would be where that could be a thing, you know, because you go your whole life and you know, and then your relationship's kind of wonky. And then, you know, he probably blames himself because if he was, you know, there, maybe this wouldn't, and that's not fair to him because he had no control over this. He was learning, he was learning all life in the same, like how we are now, like all for the first time himself. What was he supposed to do? Raise the kid and
I think
not be ready
I'm like,
to the kid that you're not ready to be a parent, and then the kid feels that. No, he did what was right, and you know, not ready.
It's a selfless thing to do, to give up your child.
Even though it hurts, you know, but I can imagine what he felt, and it just because he did that doesn't mean that he is not like a writer. That they both have this very similar qualities, and I think that's why him and Wade That's why
That
Wade
can
is
feel
so comfortable to tell him everything, because he understands a part of Wade that nobody else does, because like emotionally they share a lot of the same qualities, which is not bad, but he understands them. So I feel like for him to be able to do it, like that's strong in my opinion. And I don't feel like it's not loyal. I would never do that to my kid. But if your kid was out doing what Wade was doing to people and you're going to let them still walk around town to be able to do that to somebody else, you deserve to be in there too. But he was like, no, I'm not going to let anybody else get hurt. No matter who this is, I'm going to do what's right. And
Yeah.
I think that I would tell him to do it 10 times over, regardless of what anybody thinks. Because
Absolutely.
you know how many more people could have been done, like taken out. You don't even know what could have happened if he had the opportunity to get away. You wouldn't know the trail of people would have been left behind until he was caught. You think he would have hid out and been quiet? No. If he got it, there was no way. It would have been just. It would have been a whole thing all over the goddamn country. Because why not? Just like you said, why not? I already did it once. Why not? I'm already going down. Why not? Like God knows what would have happened. He did the right fucking thing. At the hardest thing. And it's not like it was easy. Y'all sit there and think that man sat there and didn't contemplate in his head what was right or was wrong and what the love he had for his kid, but still made the decision to do what was right. Like, y'all are bugged. Like, that's crazy. That's hard. I could never imagine being put in that position. And how much I love my children. Still, like, if my kid was out there and more people can get hurt, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to make sure nobody else gets hurt. And that's what he did. He wanted to, dude, if he didn't, Mila wouldn't be here. If he didn't, like, she wouldn't be. Like, it's just the reality. She probably wouldn't be. That poor girl probably wouldn't. And that sucks. Thank God it didn't happen. But if he did not put him away and do what he did, God knows who else would have been there. It could have been anybody that was around, anybody that had seen, anybody that it could have been anybody. He could have went on a whole, you don't even know what mindset he was in, not only on all the stuff, but like already in trouble and run. Like, you don't even know what the people will do. You don't.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, that's why I even say, like, I think that's why he did it the second time, because he knew at that point he was going, he knew he was going to go down for the first one. And he just said, you know what? F it. I'll just do it again. You know, what does it matter at this point? I'm already going down.
there was something inside him that needed to do something, and that's where it comes in. And when we sit down and talk about the more like detail, when Mel is able to get out and talk, and maybe even Papa Steve to give his input, because it's amazing, you know, if once they do, but it'll all you'll see, because she's gonna see him in the courtroom, like even sitting there in front of Wade, like you can tell just how much pain he was in, like to sit there and have to point out his kid in front, like as hard, like that was hard for, I can only imagine how that was, and any of them that had to sit up there in front of him like that, like I was behind him and I couldn't stomach it. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Couldn't imagine.
Mila was a wreck. You know, she was terrified.
You have to think, you didn't see how he was looking at these people with the looks in his face. You didn't see that. Y'all didn't. It's just, it's bad. And you can tell how uncomfortable Mila was, because you could just tell that he was just doing like it was just like there was just you could tell, and I felt horrible because she couldn't even get the words out. She was so nervous, and if she's that nervous to sit in front of him where she's so guarded, where nothing can happen to her, you think that's for no reason? Like, regardless of what y'all think about anything, like, you think that's for no reason? You think that's for attention? Look how little she is, man. That girl's terrified, fucking terrified for what happened. Yeah, like. And then she's having to relive a lot of it too. And regardless what anybody says, she's still one that, I mean, she could have been the third one we were talking about if things didn't get taken care of the way that they did. And that's the fact. So leave her alone. Like, you don't understand what that feels like, that you could have been next, or you could have been the one that he decided to switch the flag. You don't understand what that feels like. It's crazy. It's just like that night. Like, what if he did come back and I don't know. What if I would have hung out? What if I would have fucking, what if? And it freaks me out.
So many what ifs. There's so many.
There
And
was
I
no
say,
flag. There was no red flag. There was nothing that would ever entail anything like that he gives, because he's
no.
very charismatic. Like, he's a very likable person. Like, there's no way that you can even tell. And I am a very sensitive to other people sometimes, and I didn't even get that I didn't, like, there was none of that there, and there wasn't even any charm or anything yet. So, like, I don't know. It was just crazy. But then again, the energy flip from when you walked out that bathroom. That's all I could compare it to. It's the two different. They were two totally different people. From the moment that the conversation that we had and the joking around, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do this and I'll be back, like that person, and then oh yeah, I gotta go, I'll be back. No, and then your eyes are no longer like brown or like there where you can see the difference in brown and black. They were just black. Like it looked like a fucking movie. Like it. That's what this looked like. It was weird, but
that's crazy.
Say about that, but there wasn't, like, they were all right about it. There wasn't any red flag. Like, there really wasn't. There was no indication.
That's the scary part. That's the scary part is that he's
what
like an angelic
undermines.
devil. Yeah, he's the boy next door. He's the guy that you would see and think nothing of. You know, it's so easy to fall for it because he is just the regular guy, a guy with tattoos, a good-looking guy, or the guy you would see walking
tattoos. He was a very, very, very good-looking individual. But
yeah,
I just think
Did
that.
you see the video of the girl who had dated him and she had a video of him at a baby shower?
Yeah, I've seen those.
And it's so wild to me because somebody, that girl Mars that does, she also covers true crime, and she said it best, and she's like, to think that this guy was having his own baby and at a stranger's baby shower and so excited for them people that were about to.
Though, when he was doing that, he was sober. When he was doing in those videos, a lot of those videos, he wasn't on those other shit. He might have been drinking, but he's not the person that did that. So and at that point, he did have priors and stuff, but like apparently it wasn't all bad. You have plenty of videos with him that there were good times. So,
That's what I'm saying. You see him at the baby shower and he goes and he grabs the chair and he's helping the people and he's so friendly. He's smiling.
Because that's how he is, though. Like that's why they say Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like he can be, though. He can be the nicest, sweetest, like loyal, down for you person.
Mila said that.
The most manipulative, lying, untrustworthy, like individual. There really is two sides. There's not an in between. Yeah. It's
and he even said that about himself on the call with Mila. He goes, I have a good side, but I have an evil side too.
Yep.
Yep.
And this is the side, not saying that he was always, but I mean, if you look at what some of the girls have said from like what he has done, but none of you ever convicted him, though. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why, if he did all this, like, convict the guy, get him, like, y'all, just out of, and I get it. They were probably scared, that he's a scary person. And when he's, angry, I'm sure in person it's intimidating. And they, I get it. They were probably just trying to, survive and get through things too. You never know. Maybe they were scared. Obviously that happened to them, but like he needed to be convicted. He needed to be like for all of that. And that's another thing that's a raising problem too, is because he was never convicted for any of it. Everybody thinks that he didn't do it. Right, because
and he thought he was infallible.
Charging you, that doesn't make it not happen. That just makes it, so.
Well, it gave him more courage to go ahead because he thought he was infallible because he got away with the essay with the girl in 2015. And then he got away with Kelly, what happened with Kelly. And truthfully, he should have been away. And Kelly's right. If he had been found guilty, if they had followed up on the thing with Kelly and he had been put away, those women may have been alive because that was, months before, only a few
But
months
actually, the
before.
state though, and it's the thing with the most DV cases when a witness doesn't testify or when somebody like when it's against them, if the state feels like that's how it is, they will pick it up, and they never did. So it's like I don't understand why they wouldn't have had it. Like that's crazy. If this man has all these things, why they didn't do it sooner? You know, and
That's what I don't understand with Kelly.
that sucks for her because she had to only
Well,
go
the
through
detective
that.
didn't believe her. He didn't believe her. He thought that they were having like rough, and you know
what
she
it is,
wanted.
though, because that he is so good at the manipulation, and it is true. It is true. Let me just say this though: you cannot tell a man that big, okay, that big to be rough with you, bro. You can't do it. And if you do,
Right.
or maybe you do like it a little bit, but it went too far, like whatever. You can't tell him to slap you around or to do certain things and that you've done before, and then like expect the cops to believe like. He'd be like, oh no, we do this all the time. Like she asked me to do it. Like they're gonna believe him because there's women that are into that, and he's so good at talking. He talked his way out of it, or scared his way. I mean, I don't even know what he could have told them to make them believe him over her, which is shitty. Because if this happens to her, she should have been able to be heard, and like that's the worst thing about when it comes with domestic violence. That a lot of the time, these victims they're not believed, and a lot of the times, and it's the crazy people that do the vindictive, hurtful shit out of spite that ruin it for the people that actually have things going on to them. Like I don't think she was vindictive or malicious or anything that deserved that, and most of the time it is girls that do that and people's lives get ruined. But I don't believe that was the case. I believe that this happened to her. She didn't get hurt. Don't. And I mean, I don't believe she would just make it up, because I mean, it's not like she came out with it now afterwards. Like there was already reports and stories on it back
talked
then.
about it from the beginning.
Exactly.
And the guy was demoted because he didn't do the proper investigation. He was demoted, and her assault was just so similar to the girl in 2015. And people were saying, like, people were getting on there and saying, oh, she looked up the case and she claimed the same thing. No, they have patterns, and he had a pattern.
Looked up the case and said the same thing.
The same thing.
Who said that though? Like, what are they meaning?
Kelly said, she's like, people were actually accusing her of using his prior convictions to claim that he did the same thing to her.
No, she was
Like,
around before any of the other
in the
ones came
details.
out. That had been out for a hell of a long time before. Like,
Right, but they're saying she went back to the 2015 case and she used the same, it was just, it's absurd, but this is what they do, the Wade
why?
wives.
Because
This
she
is what they
stuck up for herself and stepped out and said, I was one of the one, like, I'm like, this is true. He did physically do this to me. That doesn't mean you're getting intent. Like, you're just trying to raise awareness.
You
just
can't
like what
even
I was.
you can't even imagine the abuse that Kelly got.
I
when
can't, because I get what I get, and I wasn't even remotely part of, like, I can't even imagine, because what I deal with, and I didn't, and then I walked away. Like, I don't have anything to do with him anymore. I don't support him or anything, and people still ruined my life. Like,
And let me tell you something.
like for them,
Kelly saved, in my opinion, Kelly saved Mila's life, because after it happened to Kelly and he started dating Mila, she got in touch with people who knew Mila, and she, like Tommy and them, and she said, look, I'm telling you, this guy's not good. This is what he did, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, but at that point, this comes off as like a jealous girlfriend in their eyes, It
She
sucks.
did, but listen, she did, and maybe that's why Mila didn't believe her in the beginning. But
Well,
let
that's
me
how
tell
all
you
of them
something.
happen. That's how it always happens. They always make it seem like the ex is crazy or the other person, but they never really explain to what they have done to make the person go to the level of what they were doing. And it does suck, because there are so many people, men and women, that do things to manipulate and try to get you to, hate somebody. And I get that, but that's not the case there. Like, how dare you on a woman that had been through anything to do with this man, number one, and yet physically, like, how dare you even try? Because you can't even.
But I do think that because she told Mila and she said, this is what happened. Listen, she may not have believed it initially, but
that was in the
Yeah,
back
but
of
that's
her
enough to
mind.
get in your head. It's enough to get in your head. If anybody comes to
That's
me
my point.
with things, especially with people like I've dated, regardless, you're
Yes.
going to let your own judgment go off of what you're going to believe, but you're still going to keep that in the back of your
Have
mind.
that in the back of your mind. Right. And
There's
that's my
some
point,
things-
is that when the morning that happened, I know that in her mind, in the back of Mila's mind, she had what Kelly told her, and that's why she didn't get in the car with him. That's why she didn't, and she fought so hard not to get in the car with him, because she knew what Kelly had told her. And she was going to make sure that she didn't get in the car with him. And I think that's what saved her life. I think if Kelly had not told her all of those things, she would have possibly gotten in that car.
Very much so. I mean, I think that Mila was able to make the decision without, anybody telling her, just for what she was going through. But I
Yes.
believe that did help. I mean, like you said, it
Yeah.
implants something. It's
did.
that, and
It did.
can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And she's strong.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yeah. You guys all are,
I think it's a little sad that, she's going through things and everything, and how she's taking things. It sucks. And I wish I could, reach out to her, and make sure she's all right. But I know how that goes. But I don't know.
Yeah.
This ought to be over. I do. I'm sick of talking. I'm sick. I'm so tired of talking about it. I'm sick of hearing about it. I just want to be able
I
to
know.
do the platform and do what I love to do without having every single day being reminded. And I'm sure everybody else that had anything to do with them on the other aspect would enjoy that too, especially the victims. Like, why the fuck did they have to get up on every social media platform? The guy that brutally did this to their family is being glorified, and they're just being swept under the rug like they didn't matter. Like, that shit thing. And what people don't understand is, like, that's what people are upset about. Like, and nobody seems to get it. Like, nobody understands what they're having to go. Nobody even cared. Like, it just,
It's gross. It's actually gross.
gouging for somebody, but you're not taking into consideration the people that he's affected, and you're just looking for loopholes because he's got a semi-decent looking face, and it's not even, like, it's just so crazy. It's just crazy.
I know. It's wild. I've never seen anything like this.
I get it, but at the same time, and so is me.
Yeah.
Like, we all were, and she's just lucky that she got out. Like, she's lucky. She's very, very lucky, and I'm glad that somebody was able to reach out to her.
Yeah.
And if
She had
people-
messaged me a couple of times, and I tried to kind of give, like, keep her company during the hurricane, and, talk to her. And I gave her my number. I'm like, listen, if you ever need to talk, because I feel so bad,
Yes, absolutely. It's way more than all of that, and people don't care.
Yeah.
It's entertainment for y'all. This is our life.
Yeah.
This is what
And
we
it ruined her business too. She was it affected her business.
Yeah, they did the same thing that they did to me to her. The same thing. When I tell you there were so many
terrible reviews.
how many comments that were on this, and it was all stuff that people on Reddit were saying, like the same type of stuff that they were saying on there, and they'd be like the same stuff. It says, like, there's so much more that nobody knew. Like, I've had soda thrown at me. I've had literally people walk by and scold me. I've had people not show. I've had people get yanked from my shop from their family members because they found out who I was. Like, and then when they really found out where I was working and everything was going on and all the reviews and everything else, all it takes is one person to walk by Happy Scoop, go on Google and look me up and see all of that, and then make the decision to not come here. And then post about who Wade is, and, like, bringing all of that to and associating with it. Like, there were so many blue hearts and Wade's name and all of this crazy crap on there. And I'm like,
Pictures are crazy.
oh, you don't even know.
My God.
It was to the point where, when I tell you, in off season, like I've said before, I was making $250 a day, and that was, like, really slow for me. When I tell you, in the last month and a half since everybody found out, and, like, they've all known, and I was kind of like, once they found out and I was sharing and being open, I can show you on record, like, my sales. I hadn't hit over $200 until yesterday, and it was like under $3 on a Saturday, which I usually pull 1,000 to 1,200.
Wow.
And this all started right after everybody found out where I was. As soon as that one person put in there Edison Mall, and it took off from there, it was a whole fucking thing. So it was like, And I was quiet about it because I didn't want everybody like to know and like see that you won, and you know, like it was. I didn't want everybody knowing that what they were doing was tearing me down. But I'm done being quiet about it because it's done not only ruined multiple opportunities for me with anything, but like I literally got denied staying in the house that I had been paying rent in for months because of social media, because what everybody has done and how big they blew it up. They wouldn't have never have known who I was. Never have known. Wouldn't have even had a problem with it. Had no issues for 2 years that I was living there. And then all of a sudden, when I say, listen, I've been paying, why don't, you know, then he says, yeah, you guys can, you know, sign a lease. You and Bryson can stay and it's fine. Just da-da-da-da-da. Let me talk to my wife. As soon as the wife freaking hears my name, showed him a picture and was like, is this her? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, we're not dealing with it. We're not going to deal with all the drama because somebody on Reddit posted my mugshots with my address and saying that me and everybody in the house should burn. So why would they want to rent to me? Why would anybody want to hide? Why would anybody want to do anything? Because you've alienated me. So, okay, because
I guess it's a small town, right? So I guess like everybody like knows each other is like,
yeah. And 3 little towns that are all around, like North Fort Myers, Bonita, Cape Coral. Like there's, if you were from one area, you've been to the others, and everybody, like, it's just not like, I know people everywhere. And I was kind of numb during most of it. Like I was emotional, but I was like numb to it. So I was just kind of like, it was such an overload of information. Just the first couple hours, like, was just so much. So like, I kind of just like disassociated a lot of it so that way I could sit through it. Like that's how bad it was.
And you're also in shock too, you know, so.
Well, yeah, I went in there sitting there confidently thinking that, you know, after the first couple witnesses and everything, that there wasn't like evidence. And then next thing you know, it's like, boom. Then it was like, boom. Then it was like, oh my God, it was like, boom, boom. Like when I tell you, she put like 20 something things into evidence just on one topic, 20 like pieces of evidence. There's like, that's insane. And not one rebuttal, not one thing saying that, like not one defending, nothing. Why do you?
I mean, he had nothing. He had absolutely nothing.
Had nothing to come back on what they had. He had nothing to explain. There's nothing you can say, bro. When all the blood, like when there's blood in the knots of the clothes he tied the one woman's body up with, then you can't you can't lie about that. How is it in the inside of each single knot? Every single one, almost. Like, you really think that people had time to go do all in those in the specific, like, y'all don't. I just don't understand, like, how much more do you have to spit? Like, how other way do I have to put it? Like, how many more ways, like, do you have to put?
I'm like, if he came and he said it right to them, I did this, they still wouldn't believe it.
He did that already. They thought it was fake. All he had to say was, oh, it was a false confession. And he had everybody thinking he was innocent. Like, all it takes is one.
It's true.
Regardless. So I get where people come where he shouldn't have the death penalty. I agree with anybody, like I've said before, that he should sit and suffer in his shit for the rest of his life. Every day till he's in his
way out the DP.
I feel like it is. I just want to put out there, like I've said again, there is no right individual in this world that is going to sit there and sentence a man not only once but twice to a death sentence if he did not do something to put himself in a goddamn category that put him to even get considered for it. Because like I've said before, there's multiple people in that damn prison right down the road, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Lee County, everywhere, all over the U.S. that murder people every day. But they don't do what he did. And once you guys hear what he did, you'll understand everything. Because that's what's getting people. Did all of these how did all of this footage, all these footages of him, they don't look like a courtroom, like they're actually like decent clips and shots. Like, how is that a thing? But yet they can't seem to get the parts of the evidence out to show that he's guilty. All it's done is make everybody think that he got an unfair trial. So so really, who's the puppet master? Who?
And I don't know how that works. I mean, I know there are certain things they can't put on TV.
They have blurred out in every true crime I've seen with any other murder case, anything. They have blurred out the photos and they have showed it, all of the evidence. So there's something that's not right. There's something that's not right. That's just my opinion. But if you think about it, why though? Why? If that's what you were there for, why would you not release you can blur out photos. You can still put all the evidence in. Like there's, it didn't make sense. That part did
Yeah,
not.
I mean, if you watch the trial,
Of what they wanted you to see though, that's weird. That's weird
there
to
is
me.
a lot of things missing. And it does leave that room for doubt that people will say, that people have said, well,
That's what I'm
we
saying.
didn't see this, we didn't see that.
I
Right.
know, because that's what doesn't make sense. Is out every shot of him at those angles with those cameras. Like how I don't even understand, because some of the footage of him, some of these pictures, and if you really think about it, some of the footage and videos of him weren't even in any of the ones for the trial. Like they weren't in the footage that was released.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice any of it?
Thirst trap clips.
I'm just saying though, when they release stuff for him, the non-fair trial and all the video that is shown, none of it is showing anything other than making people think that he didn't have a fair trial.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Why show it all?
Because you don't see the evidence the way we should see the evidence. And then they say, well, there wasn't evidence, there wasn't DNA, there wasn't this. Show it. They should have showed it.
And I don't understand why they didn't, but yet they have all this footage, all these clips of how he's sitting and how he's like, doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense. Because where did they get these videos? Like,
I mean, I don't know, unless the family has a say in what's, I mean, I don't think they do, but I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, does the family have a say? I don't know how that works.
No, I mean, possibly, I don't know, but no. I mean, but it just still doesn't make sense that whoever was recording, why there's parts that they didn't, like, even if they didn't show video, like, or like the photos, the list of evidence was so substantial just from Chris, like just from the first one. Like I can't even, like, there was so much they didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But it ponders my brain that there's all these videos and all these traps and all these angles, but yet there's no footage of any of the other evidence or anything else besides interviews of the people, like, Papa Steve sitting up there telling his testimony, like, testifying. There was only those. Like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Where's the rest of it? It doesn't make any sense to me why it's not released, but yet all these other video footage of him walking in and all this, like, how did they get it? How did they get it? But yet you can't get a hold of any of the stuff that goes against him. And there was so much, like, it was enough to make me change my mind on who he was. It was enough to make me in one way and out another. That's evidence. I would
and
not.
That's what we should have seen.
Saying this, if I was 10 toes down for this man, and then all of a sudden wasn't. Why do you think that would be? Do you think it's because? Like, and I didn't even know about any of the other situationships and all the bullshit before. Like, I didn't know any of that going into this. So, because when I tell you there was so much, like, it's sickening the amount of evidence. Like, it's not. There's no way. There is no way you can. There is no way. That you can come to me with any other type of alternative, even knowing what I know about certain people and certain things. There's no way that you can tell me that anybody else did that. There's no way.
Well, we should have seen that. That's for sure. Because
the second part, like when I tell you that they had to show her skin peeled back to the back of her head and how deep the bruises penetrated through her fucking muscles to her throat for Christine. Like, you don't even, it crushed her shit, bro. Like, it was horrible. And it wasn't just like, oh, this is what he did. They showed it. The picture of her completely there on the table. And then they showed it with their face peeled back. Like, that's what we saw and seen. It went down to the so far deep. Like, she had bruises and like blood bruised so deep in that you couldn't see it unless you pulled her shit back. Like, that's not even a fraction. That's just the beginning. That's the beginning. Yeah. That's the beginning. And when I tell you, his grip that he had was so strong that it bruised muscles inside of her esophagus. Crushed. Like, there was like, the rest of it will come up. That was just the beginning. That was the entrance to it. That's the first thing they pop up in when they start with their opening was the photos and just.
I think she just wants it to be clear to people that if you knew half the things that she knew, nobody would be walking around saying free weed and all this other bullshit. And you know what? People just get sick and tired of hearing it. And I don't know who's requesting to join. People that are involved in this situation and have experienced and seen and heard, they are sick and tired of the supporters and the people saying he didn't do it when they know the truth and they've seen the truth and they've heard the truth. It's hard. It's hard to just sit back and let people